Chapter 1029, Scattered Like Birds. The vortex charged into the air and an unimaginable suction force erupted. The Tattoo Clan holy ancestor wasn't able to struggle at all, and the chain slowly pulled her back into the rising vortex. The woman revealed a bleak expression, and the tattoo between her eyebrows flickered. Every flicker would cause a loud rumble and one of the chains around her would shatter. The chains would turn back into wailing souls that got sucked into the celestial burial vortex. The moment the chains collapsed, countless souls came out of the vortex and formed new chains that continued to drag her down. This caused everyone who saw this to silently ponder. They were shocked and had various thoughts about this. The woman bitterly smiled. She had been sealed here for too many years and didn't have the power she used to have. If Wang Lin's divine sense avatar wasn't here, she might had a chance to break free, but now she had no chance. She revealed a bitter smile. Although she had no eyes, there seemed to be a hint of light in her empty eye sockets. At this moment, green gas appeared in her eye sockets and seemed to replace her eyes. She looked at the Wang Lin avatar before her and let out a miserable laugh. The person I hate the most in my life is you, Wang Lin. Back then, my tattoo clan offended Supreme, so we had to escape to the sealed realm where the Supreme had no control. We just wanted to avoid the dispute and find a place to live far away from death. The war with your celestial realm was because you celestials were eyeing our tattoo clan as source origin energy, and you attacked first. Did my tattoo clan have to obey you? That war lasted for far too long, and your celestial realm used various methods against us. In order to steal my tattoo clan's holy bottle, you killed countless powerful members of my clan. If that was it, it would have been fine. After all, casualties on both sides are inevitable in a war. However, as one of the 4 celestial emperors and the most powerful person in the celestial realm, why did you deceive a woman's fragile heart? You had said that I'd be your celestial cave concubine. I, Chu Yao, betrayed my clan for you and willingly become your concubine in exchange for a place for my tattoo clan to live in this sealed realm. You said that you liked my eyes, and for you, I willingly dug out my own eyes and gave them to you. These eyes that had been gathering energy for countless years and had condensed a sliver of primordial energy. It was a pair of eyes that every generation of Tattoo Clan ancestor inherited from the previous generation. Do you still remember that scene? My blood-stained eyes and the blood that flowed out of my eye sockets. You asked so much of me, and I did my best to fulfill your every demand. Even when you sealed me here to suppress the monstrous amount of souls here, I was willing. Beside you, I wasn't the holy ancestor, but just your concubine, and I liked you. The smile on her face became even more miserable. The black blood flew out from her eye socket like tears. Only they were tears of blood, and memories of the past flashed through her mind. Why? Why did you still lie to me even though I did everything? You promised me you would give my clan a realm to live in. You promised me my clan would live on. You even said that one day you would take my clan outside the sealed realm once more. These were all things you told me. I, Chu Yao, was stupid enough to believe your words. I stayed here suppressing these souls in the celestial burial pool for you, even though I was aware that your purpose was to seal me here. However, I still chose to believe in you. If it wasn't for the fact that I felt a member of clan and came out at all costs to see him, I would have never known that my clan never got their own realm, that after I was sealed, my clan became slaves to you celestials. This made me hate you even more. Wang Lin, are you a heartless person? Do you not have any emotions? Are you a rock, an ordinary slave seal simply can seal my tattoo clan for generations without end? That slave seal was clearly derived from that primordial energy from my eyes. Only that kind of power could seal my clan like this. You obtained my eyes and obtained that sliver of primordial energy. Then you infused countless slave seals within it so my clan became ant-like slaves within the sealed realm. They were forced to worship you celestials for generations. Even more black blood came out of her empty eye sockets. It carried the monstrous resentment from having her countless years of anticipation suddenly collapse before her. Wang Lin, your avatar is here, which means you were still not dead. Do you dare to appear before me? The woman's mournful voice echoed as she was slowly dragged back into the celestial burial pool with a miserable smile on her face. When she was about to be pulled completely into the celestial burial pool, her head suddenly jerked up, and the tattoo between her eyebrows completely separated from her skin. The tattoo flickered like crazy, and even from where Wang Lin was, he could clearly see the lines of blood connecting to the tattoo. He could imagine how painful it was. However, this pain couldn't be compared to the pain in her heart. She raised her right hand and grabbed the tattoo. She then mercilessly pulled it out from between her eyebrows regardless of the pain and threw it up. Tashan was still close to her. Everything before him made him gain some understanding, but his eyes were still filled with confusion. The tattoo the woman threw flew like light and arrived near Tashan. It fused to the spot between his eyebrows along with the stinging pain. After throwing the tattoo, the woman became very weak and gradually sank into the celestial burial pool. The green gas in her eye sockets flickered as she looked at Wang Lin and muttered, "You have helped my tattoo clan. I, Chu Yao 1T, forget those that have helped my clan." She revealed a miserable smile once more as she mercilessly stabbed her 2 eye sockets. The green gas was pulled out, and she threw it. It turned into 2 rays of green light that fused into one and then shot toward Wang Lin. Aside from my tattoo clan's life tattoo, another thing we had that made us famous in the outer realm was the withered tattoo spell. This is the method of the withered tattoo. Since you helped my tattoo clan, then you should be able to get my clan's descendant to help you obtain the power of tattoos. Wang Lin heard her message immediately after he caught the green light. She profoundly looked at the cold figure of Qing Lin as she sank into the celestial burial pool. At this moment, the surroundings were completely silent. Even the countless souls also sank into the celestial burial pool with her. Only the sound of the vortex rotating could still be heard. The vortex slowly sank and was about to disappear into the deep pit below. Holding the green light, Wang Lin naturally understood what the woman named Chu Yao wanted. According to her, this withered tattoo spell required the help of the tattoo clan, and it would be an invisible chain that tied Wang Lin and the tattoo clan together. The fact that she is so confident means that the withered tattoo can be ordinary. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he recalled the yellow talisman that could seal origin energy back in El Heaven. Could it be? Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. Just at this moment, just as the celestial burial pool was about to disappear, a shocking change occurred. Chu Yao's figure suddenly came out of the sinking vortex, and following a tearing sound, a heaven-shaking rumble came from the vortex. "Qing Lin, even if I die, I want to let you go." When this voice echoed, a large amount of souls appeared. The souls didn't charge out but collapsed. As the souls collapsed, the celestial burial pool also trembled. "Since you use me to suppress these souls, you should know that after countless years, I have become one with the celestial burial pool. They want to let me leave, and you want to let me leave, so let us perish together." As Chu Yao's venomous words echoed, the celestial burial pool collapsed. Countless souls were torn to pieces and turned into destructive power that entered the vortex. After an immeasurable amount of destructive force entered the vortex, a shocking change occurred. The vortex suddenly shot up and turned into a huge whirlwind that could destroy anything in its path. It shot straight up into the sky. At this moment, Master Void's expression changed, and he took the beautiful middle-aged woman and the girl suspected to the brilliant Void's saintess and escaped. The Ulcer and company were the same. At this moment, everyone scattered like birds. That whirlwind shot out and caused the space here to collapse, loud rumbles echoing as it happened. What collapsed wasn't just the space here but also the edge of the cave that was sealed by the scattered devil. The whirlwind charged out in an instant. As the endless resentful screams echoed, something floated out from below. It was a 100-foot wide black pool filled with black blood, and it gave off an eerie energy. What was strange was that this eerie energy was celestial spiritual energy. Celestial burial pool? There were countless ferocious beasts carved around the black pool, along with countless twisted faces suffering from pain. The moment it appeared, a terrifying aura came with it. In the celestial spirit heaven realm, the sky began to change and thunder echoed across the former demon spirit land. A heaven-shaking change even occurred in the space outside the demon spirit land. The vortex in the East Demon Spirit Sea began to rotate like crazy and began to suck in origin energy. The vortex expanded like crazy, and some of the cultivators passing by were caught inside. Their bodies immediately collapsed, and even their origin souls couldn't escape. This terrifying change immediately caught the attention of simply too many people. At this moment, before everyone could get a good look, a crack suddenly appeared on the celestial burial pool. Shortly after, A series of crackling sounds echoed and even more cracks appeared. The famous celestial burial pool suddenly collapsed and all the souls inside were torn apart. The unimaginable destructive force scattered like crazy. Qinglin's avatar, didn't he dodge? The moment the destructive aura from the celestial burial pool arrived, he closed his eyes and turned into a speck of light that disappeared within the cave. As the shockwave spread, the entire place was filled with a deafening roar. This shockwave was so powerful that it shattered the seal the scattered devil had placed and revealed the cave's true appearance. Everyone, including Wang Lin, was scattered in all directions by the powerful shockwave. Everyone was forced to scatter due to the force created by the collapse of the celestial burial pool. Even Master Void's expression turned pale as he was injured. He couldn't even bother with the beautiful middle-aged woman and the girl as he was thrown by the powerful shockwave. He collided with the restriction within the cave and disappeared. As for the beautiful woman and the girl in pink, they were scattered as well. They both touched a different restriction and disappeared without a trace. The ulcer continued to retreat, and his eyes revealed a mysterious light. His foot moved in a strange way, and then he rushed into a restriction in a distant pavilion and disappeared. Almost everyone disappeared while they retreated. Wang Lin's body also trembled. Under the effect of this shockwave, he felt as if almost all his bones were going to shatter. He felt pain in his body and coughed out blood. Then he fell on the ground next to some flowers and touched a restriction. There was a flash of light and his figure slowly disappeared. However, just as his body was about to disappear, a ray of light quickly closed in on him from the vortex. Along the way, the ray of light broke all the restrictions that blocked its path and headed straight for Wang Lin. In an instant, it arrived near Wang Lin. And while Wang Lin was stunned, it penetrated his bag of holding. It went straight for the yellow crystal given to him by the mysterious man in the hall. Qinglin's avatar. This was the last thought that appeared in Wang Lin's mind before he disappeared. He clearly saw Qinglin's avatar within that light. The collapse of the celestial burial pool caused the celestial emperor cave to shake violently. Everyone was scattered, and they activated different restrictions and were teleported to different locations. As if the heavens had willed it, the woman surrounded by demonic energy and covered in scars fell close to Wang Lin after the shockwave. She landed in some flowers and triggered a restriction. She was then teleported to the same place Wang Lin was sent to. After a long time, the shockwave dissipated, and the entire place was in ruins, leaving only a deep pit that gave off a chilly aura. The celestial burial pool had shattered into countless fragments that disappeared within various restrictions. This place was completely silent, and after an unknown amount of time a person struggled to climb out of the pit. His head was very big, and his body was rather small. His eyes were still filled with fear as he climbed out. Behind him were the 3 Chen brothers and everyone else that was sucked in, aside from one of the female disciples, whose body collapsed, an elder son, who lost his star-marked sable. Everyone else climbed out. They silently pondered as they looked around, and fear lingered in their hearts. No one noticed the star-marked sable fly by because it was too fast and everyone was still recovering from the aftermath. The star-marked sable shot straight into the depths of the pit. Its eyes were filled with intelligence. It could clearly feel an aura within the depths of this pit that would make it go crazy. Lately, Leo has been having half headaches, always seeming to see light waves in the form of lines, affecting my vision, sometimes momentarily half-blinded, perhaps too exhausted. Chapter 1030. The Eternity Between True and False. In the vastness of space, aside from the bright nebula and countless meteorites, there was also endless dust. Each particle of dust was often very small. Though some could be seen by a cultivator's divine sense, most couldn't be clearly detected by cultivators. In the corner of the universe, there were some dust particles that were so small that not even Nirvana Shatterer cultivators could detect them with their divine sense. These dust particles were very small, but there were other worlds within them. The demon spirit land, the former celestial spirit heaven realm, and celestial emperor Qinglin's cave were here. Aside from the East Demon Spirit Sea, which was an immeasurable distance away, there was no other entrance to these places. Within the dust there was a grand palace at the center of the celestial emperor cave. This grand palace was completely purple and gave off a majestic aura. There were 99 candles placed in a formation on the ground. At this moment, 64 candles had already extinguished. There was no person inside the hall, only ashes on the ground. The remaining 35 candles flickered, and their light scattered in the hall. It gave the hall a grim aura. At this moment, it was as if wind had blown in from outside the hall and swept through. The fire flickered violently. Out of the remaining 35 candles, 23 of them shook violently as they struggled to stay burning. However, the wind was too cold, and as it blew by, countless tattoos flickered within the wind. In the end, the 23 candles extinguished one by one. When the candles went out, the hall became more dark. The smoke released by the candles seemed to form a devilish shadow that was silently laughing. The smoke dissipated. The moment the 23 candles extinguished, a figure sitting in a large throne in a hall identical to this one violently trembled and coughed out black blood. Blood also came out of his orifices. It was a shocking sight to behold. The environment here was exactly the same as the hall above. However, there were no candles here. Instead, there was a huge throne. The man covered in the black mist trembled and then opened his eyes. His eyes were cloudy. If Wang Lin saw this place, he would recognize it as the place his nether guide showed after it was altered. The mysterious man was the person who gifted him the yellow crystal. 23 candles have extinguished, only 12 left. Chu Yao, even as you die, you must hurt me, so did I really make you hate me this much? The bitterness in the man's face was very deep. When your tattoo clan arrived from the outer realm, your clan wanted to forge an alliance with us. I opened up a realm for your clan to live in. However, after your clan arrived, a large amount of celestials went missing. All kinds of signs pointed to your tattoo clan being responsible for the disappearance of those celestials. I didn't believe it at first, but when I went to the tattoo clan's realm, I saw your clan take the souls of celestials to activate your clan's holy tattoo. Since you all acted like this, how could we not go to war? How could I, Qing Lin, not be angry? If that add-in happened, could the most miserable war since I became the Celestial Emperor have occurred? If it wasn't for this, how could the celestial realm have lost so much vitality that we weren't able to resist the catastrophe that caused the celestial realm to collapse? Moreover, the collapse of the celestial realm was one of your plans. The tattoo clan holy ancestor is only an avatar. Your true identity is the daughter of the supreme of the outer realm. Your purpose for coming here wasn't what you said at the beginning. It was to destroy all forces within the sealed realm. The man's face became even more bitter. His eyes were cloudy, and there was a hint of reminiscence in them. You became my celestial cave concubine, and forced the flower imperial concubine to become a flower soul so she could only exist as a flower celestial only because she found out about you. I personally witnessed this after I became suspicious. You failed, but not only did you not repent, you wanted me go to the outer realm with you and become the disciple of your father, the Supreme. I am the dignified emperor of the celestial realm, a ruler and native of the sealed realm. How could I betray my home? Your eyes contained the primordial force, but it was because you used your time with me to activate it. This primordial force was the seed your father placed to destroy the sealed realm. If it had spread, everyone within the sealed realm would have been destroyed along with countless mortals. This was all so you could make the sealed realm into a ruin, so it would make it easier for you all to search for the so-called Heaven's Gate. I dug out your eyes, but can the pain you felt even match up to 1/10,000th of the pain I feel? Even then, I couldn't bear to kill you, so I sealed you within the celestial burial pool instead. I told everyone else that you died. Do you know the pain in my heart? Chu Yao, what right do you have to hate me? Even today you didn't hesitate to destroy your avatar to confuse the people I lured here. You even borrowed the destruction of your avatar to extinguish 23 of my life candles. The man's face was filled with pain, and black gas surrounded his face. The black gas turned into a devilish shadow that seemed like it wanted to devour him. You have no right to hate me. The remnants of your tattoo clan are a danger to the sealed realm, so how could I leave them be and leave endless trouble for the future generation of my sealed realm? They can exist, but only as eternal slaves to my celestials. I kept them alive as a reminder, to never forget the powerful killing intent from the outer realm. The black gas around the man's face became even stronger. It gathered between the man's eyebrows as if it wanted to break through. However, just as it was about to break through, 12 points of light appeared, preventing the black gas from breaking in. Do I still have enough time? The man sighed and slowly closed his eyes. At this moment, Wang Lin's eyes were fierce as he looked ahead. He was in an endless ocean where he couldn't see the end, and there were only waves before him. He stood above the surface of the ocean and pondered. After he triggered the restriction within the flowers, he was teleported here. The first thing he saw was this blue ocean. The moment I was teleported here, I vaguely saw another person who also fell in the flowers. Not far from me was the person covered in demonic energy. I felt a familiar feeling from her. While pondering, Wang Lin's expression suddenly changed, and he suddenly raised his head. He could see an angry wave forming almost a wall in the distance. These past few days, I've always been prodding myself to wish for likes on the video, but I always forget. Now there are only the last 12 hours left to double the likes for the video. Tears in the hope of likes. Brothers, don't hold back. Chapter 1031, Wither Tattoo. As the waves raged above the blue ocean, layers of waves merged together to form a large wave. From far away, it was like a blue line that slowly spread toward Wang Lin. Before it even closed in, the rumbling sounds of the wave could be heard. It was loud enough to make your ears buzz and make you feel very small. Wang Lin's eyes became serious as he stared at the wave before him. His feet stepped on the ocean, and he immediately retreated. As he moved away from the wave, he thought in his heart, "The place I landed in was only a field of flower. Even though I triggered a restriction, I should not appear in the ocean." Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he watched the waves move faster and faster. In the blink of an eye, it was already before him, and it came crashing down on him. The shockwave from the collapse of the celestial burial pool injured my body and even shook my origin soul. Right now, I need to quickly heal up. Since this strange sea is part of the restriction, then there must be endless follow-ups. As the wave closed in, dense water vapor filled the area. From afar, it looked like there was mist in front of the wave before it was shattered by the wave. The wave roared and continued to become taller as it closed in. The wave went higher and higher in the air and then mercilessly slammed down on Wang Lin. At this instant, Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and with a step, he suddenly sank into the water. He rapidly descended as if he was a heavy piece of metal. The moment his body disappeared, the wave crashed on the surface of the ocean. An invisible vibration was set off across the sea, causing more waves to appear. The wave swept by. Wang Lin's body continued to sink, and he avoided the vibration caused by the waves. He ignored the violent waves on the surface and charged toward the bottom of the sea. As he moved forward, he began to frown. This isn't a real ocean. I didn't see a single creature present along the way besides. More importantly, Wang Lin's body stopped. Then his right hand formed a seal, and he pointed. A vortex immediately appeared. At first it was not very large, but soon it spread. In the blink of an eye, it was 100 feet wide and pushed the water away. From a distance, it looked like a huge bubble. Wang Lin was inside the bubble, and his right hand reached forward. A small fist-sized ball of water entered the bubble. The bubble trembled as the water entered and landed in Wang Lin's right hand. Holding the ball of seawater, Wang Lin placed it next to his nose and smelled it. His eyes lit up for a moment. It was indeed as I expected. This seawater doesn't smell like the sea. Wang Lin put the seawater next to his mouth and licked it. It's not seawater. His right hand viciously squeezed, and the ball of seawater immediately collapsed. Wang Lin raised his head and pondered. There were flashes of deduction in his eyes. This is dew. During my early days of cultivation, I depended on the dew from the heaven-defying bead, so I am extremely familiar with it. This isn't an ocean, it's a drop of dew on a flower petal or a blade of grass. Wang Lin's eyes became enlightened as he looked around in admiration. What a powerful restriction, to trap someone within a world inside a drop of dew. After seeing through this ocean, not only did Wang Lin not relax, but his expression became more serious. Restrictions focus on trapping and attacking. Very few focus solely on trapping. This is the Celestial Emperor Cave, and from what the Tattoo Clan holy ancestor Chu Yao said, Qing Lin is a ruthless person. There is no way the restrictions here would merely just trap someone. While Wang Lin pondered, he couldn't help but look at his bag of holding. Before he entered, he clearly saw Qing Lin's avatar enter the yellow crystal inside his bag of holding. From Chu Yao's expression, it doesn't seem like what she said was false. However, after 1,000 years of cultivation, there is no way I would take people's words at face value. Just like black and white, if one looks at them separately, they are very distinct. But if you mix them, then gray appears. To Wang Lin, unless he saw it himself or figured it out on his own, then while he would listen to them, he would never thoroughly believe what someone else told him. This was the experience he had gained after 1,000 years of cultivation. If this was when he was a mortal, or when he just joined the Hang Yue sect, he would have believed it. Whether it is true or false, it doesn't matter. At least I was able to gain some of Qing Lin's personality. I can activate the restrictions here. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he carefully manipulated the bubble to descend further. After a long time, he landed at the seabed. The seabed was gray and gave off a hazy feeling. Wang Lin sat at the seabed and closed his eyes to heal. Although he was healing, he didn't close off his divine sense. His divine sense spread out 100 feet around him, and he carefully observed all the changes around him. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, 7 days passed. On the 8th day, Wang Lin opened his eyes, and there was a flash of flame in his eyes. He pondered for a bit. At the bottom of the quiet seabed, Wang Lin recalled everything that happened in the Celestial Emperor Cave, like the unexpected vermilion bird awakening that broke the bottle world. Wang Lin's memory locked onto the scroll that appeared in ancient demon Bei Lu's hand. I presume that was the lonely desert smoke painting of the mountain and river painting. The vermilion bird awakened at a bad time. I didn't think the vermilion bird awakening would penetrate all realms and allow everyone to know about it. Thanks to that, they all think I am someone from the Four Divine Sect. Although I couldn't see any clues in that Master Void's gaze, I feel like there was a needle pointed at me. There was also that beautiful middle-aged woman. She is only at Nirvana Cleanser stage. Although she hid her gaze very well, I still saw a trace of hostility. Also, the girl suspected to be the brilliant Void Saintess was the same. He had to be even more careful from now on in the Celestial Emperor Cave. Otherwise, it was likely to invite a fatal disaster due to the vermilion bird awakening. Wang Lin touched the vermilion bird tattoo, and his expression became gloomy. Only after recalling what happened to Tashan did Wang Lin's expression change once more. Tashan, he was originally my celestial guard. Unfortunate, however, encountering the Tattoo Clan Holy Ancestor was his fortunate. I just don't know where he is right now or if he still remembers me. Wang Lin let out a sigh. After thinking about Tashan, he thought about the green gas Chu Yao had given him. Wang Lin raised his right hand, and with a thought, green gas came out from his hand to form a ball of green gas. This ball of green gas wasn't static but constantly moved. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin split off a bit of his divine sense and charged straight into the green gas. Wang Lin's expression changed, and he gradually frowned. As he observed the green gas, sometimes he was pleasantly surprised, but sometimes he was confused. After a long time, Wang Lin squeezed his hand and the ball of green gas dissipated. Wither tattoo, it is something that only the Tattoo Clan can make, and if an outsider wants to make it, they will need the help of a Tattoo Clan member to activate it. Its power is mainly divided into 4 different types: seal, collapse, escape, and break. While pondering, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding, and a yellow talisman with a complex rune on it appeared. It looked quite old, and the color had faded. Wang Lin originally had 2 of these talismans he got from Alheaven. He had studied them for a long time, but still didn't know how to use them. The only time he used one was when he battled against a member of the Yao family in Alheaven. After looking at the green gas, Wang Lin could determine that this talisman was the Wither tattoo. After carefully looking at the complex rune on the talisman, Wang Lin began to ponder. A moment later, he bit his left index finger and squeezed out a drop of blood. Then his left hand quickly formed the seal recorded in the green gas and pointed at the blood. The blood immediately paused in the air and countless bumps appeared on the surface of the blood. Then it exploded into a red mist and went toward the talisman. It was very fast, and it instantly went into the talisman. Wang Lin stared at the talisman. The spell he just used was one to check what kind of wither tattoo it was. A moment later, the talisman suddenly moved, and a black whirlwind appeared. The whirlwind was so fast that the moment it appeared, it caused the surrounding sea to change. The vague shape of a large bird appeared within the whirlwind. This bird was completely black, and its eyes were like lightning. It swept through the whirlwind once, and disappeared along with it. This is an escape-type wither tattoo that has already been activated by the Tattoo Clan. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, and he slapped his bag of holding. A big sword flew out. It was one of the 99 swords he obtained from the Slaughter Realm. Although he had exploded more than 10 of them, Wang Lin still had a lot of them. Holding the wither tattoo, Wang Lin pressed it down on the big sword without hesitation. Then his right hand formed a strange seal, and he pointed at the sword. A whirlwind appeared around the sword, and then it instantly disappeared. It disappeared so fast that even Wang Lin only saw a blur. When he took a closer look, the big sword disappeared before him and appeared 100 feet away. Although it was impossible to see its full speed with only 100 feet, Wang Lin could speculate with this. What fast speed! Wang Lin gasped as he stared at the sword 100 feet away. The whirlwind had disappeared, and the rune on the talisman had faded a bit. Even if I used my full power, it would be difficult for me to achieve this speed. Perhaps it can compete with a Nirvana Shatterer Cultivator's speed. If it is used with spatial bending, Wang Lin's eyes shined. 5,000 words in a major chapter. Seizing the moment when brothers and sisters feel comfortable, Lio wishes for the like button for the video, for sharing, for channel follows without hesitation. Chapter 1032. Was I wrong? When the celestial burial pool within the celestial emperor cave shattered, the impact scattered everyone like a flock of birds. They all triggered different restrictions and disappeared. At this moment, within an activated restriction, this place was a dense jungle. It was filled with trees with trunks so thick that they would require multiple people to encircle. At a glance, the sky was covered by the leaves, leaving only small gaps for few rays of sunlight to pass. They looked like pillars of light that descended from the sky. The ground was filled with rotten leaves. One step and you could sink as deep as your waist. The smell of rotting beast bones was mixed into the leaves, and just one whiff would make one to vomit. The deeper you went in the jungle, the more dense the leaves became, and the more scarce sunlight became as it couldn't penetrate into this place. As a result, it made the depths of the jungle more damp. There was a person sitting on the endless decaying leaves within the depths of this jungle. His body was like a top, and his upper body was naked. A blood-red tattoo flickered on his forehead. There were beast heads around him, and these bloody heads made this place smell like blood. What was strange was that all the skin between the beast's eyebrows were ripped off, revealing the fresh flesh beneath. The pieces of skin that were ripped off was stacked beside the man's leg and gave off a ghostly light. After an unknown amount of the time, the man slowly opened his eyes, revealing a terrifying gaze. The man was calm as he looked into the distance. After a long time, he muttered to himself, "Although I haven't absorbed all of the ancestor's holy tattoo, I have gained a lot of enlightenment regarding the wither tattoo spell, however. The memory of my previous master's figure won't dissipate," the man silently pondered, before letting out a sigh and closing his eyes once more. Wang Lin, who was in the depths of the ocean, withdrew his gaze from the large sword. He called the sword back, took off the wither tattoo and placed it inside his bag. With this wither tattoo, I will have another means of saving myself in a moment of danger, but this wither tattoo is indeed mysterious. After leaving the demon spirit land, I must find a chance to make more. However, according to the green gas, the best material for making them is the skin between a fierce beast's eyebrows. The more fierce the beast, the more suitable the skin between the eyebrows will be. It even affects the power of the wither tattoo itself. A magic spell must be used to gather the beast's soul and blood essence between their eyebrows before taking the skin. While Wang Lin pondered, he took a deep breath and slapped his bag of holding. There was a flash of yellow light, and the yellow crystal appeared in his hand. Staring at the crystal, Wang Lin's eyes became very serious. The thing that mystified him the most was this yellow crystal. Wang Lin could vaguely feel terrifying fluctuations coming from the crystal, so he didn't dare to carelessly check it with his divine sense. If that mysterious person inside the hall was really Qing Lin, then what is his purpose for giving this to me? Wang Lin stared at the yellow crystal and began to ponder. He clearly remembered that the crystal light that was Qing Lin's avatar entered this yellow crystal. However, no matter how he observed it, he couldn't find any clues. It was as if Qing Lin's avatar had gone missing, and what Wang Lin saw was just an illusion. After staring at it for a long time, Wang Lin withdrew his gaze. He didn't risk checking it with his divine sense and forcibly suppressed his idea. Then he put the crystal back into his bag. He had a mysterious feeling that if his divine sense went into it, something unpredictable would occur, and it would bring him no benefits. This kind of feeling was very vague. It was a sliver of spiritual sense he had developed after cultivating for over 1,000 years. It is time to leave this place. Wang Lin stood up and began moving up like a dragon. The bubble moved with him. From above, the ocean was bright blue, but inside the water, it was completely dark. However, none of this bothered Wang Lin. As the bubble rose, all the water was pushed to the sides. Wang Lin's eyes were flashing with deductions, but just as he was about to reach the surface, his expression changed. He immediately pushed his two hands to the side. The bubble he was in suddenly collapsed and a shockwave quickly spread. It charged upward under Wang Lin's control. As the shockwave charged up, a thunderous rumble echoed as if it had collided with something. Even the seawater was affected by this loud rumble. Wang Lin felt the seawater near him get ruthlessly pressed down by a powerful force. His expression turned cold, and he stayed within the ocean but didn't fly up. He left the area under the pressure and looked up. The sky was filled with demonic energy that moved like demonic dragons in the sky. A person stood at the center of the demonic energy. This person was surrounded by demonic energy, making it impossible to clearly see this person's appearance, but you could vaguely see it was a woman. When Wang Lin approached the surface, he felt a spell charge down toward him. This was why Wang Lin had collapsed the bubble. "Wang Lin, come out for me!" A voice filled with extreme hatred echoed across the world. It even caused the seawater to spread out. When Wang Lin, who was in the ocean, heard this voice, his eyes narrowed. Xianxia. He couldn't see her appearance, but the familiar feeling along with the familiar voice allowed Wang Lin to immediately identify her. Wang Lin revealed a bitter smile and let out a sigh. The grudge between him and Xianxia was complicated. Back then, she wanted to use Wang Lin and was in the wrong first. Wang Lin was never one to go easy on a woman, but due to his own cultivation and his fear of the blood pill and her father, he sealed her instead of killing her. Although Wang Lin was hostile toward Blood Ancestor, he admired Blood Ancestor. After all, everything Blood Ancestor had done was for his daughter. If someone had done the same to Wang Ping, he would have done what Blood Ancestor had done, but first he would learn what happened. Blood Ancestor obviously didn't know what had happened, and he didn't consider Wang Lin a threat. He even had killing intent. He didn't care about what happened. He only needed to know who had taken his daughter. That was enough. If Wang Lin was at his current cultivation level back then, Blood Ancestor wouldn't have been so extreme. He would have found another method to deal with this. In the end, Wang Lin wasn't strong enough for Blood Ancestor to take any notice of. Even if he knew what happened and knew that his daughter was at fault, he would still use his powerful cultivation to solve it by force. He would killed Wang Lin to vent the anger in his heart. It wasn't that Wang Lin hadn't considered returning Xianxia. He had even considered bearing responsibility for sealing Xianxia for hundreds of years. As long as Blood Ancestor's request wasn't too extreme, he would have agreed. After all, he was too weak back then. However, Blood Ancestor didn't give Wang Lin a chance to explain, and things eventually ended up like now. Every time Wang Lin thought about this, he would let out a sigh. He clearly separated his gratitude and grudge. He admired Blood Ancestor, which was why he had promised Blood Ancestor another chance to meet Xianxia. After coming to the Demon Spirit Land, Wang Lin knew that it was likely he would meet Xianxia. However, the Xianxia he remembered was too different from this person covered in demonic energy, so he didn't recognize her at first. When Wang Lin looked at the Xianxia floating in the sky, he couldn't help but sigh. These thoughts flashed through his mind as Xianxia's voice continued to enter his ears. "Wang Lin, come out. Today you and I will finish the matter from back then." As Xianxia spoke, both of her hands formed a seal, and demonic energy moved. The demonic dragons in the sky moved and charged at the surface of the ocean. A storm appeared above the ocean and set off monstrous waves. Endless large waves moved, and as the demonic dragons charged in, the waves spread in all directions, making it seem as if a huge hole had appeared in the ocean. Wang Lin let out a sigh as he shot out from the sea like a ray of lightning and charged straight for the sky. The moment Wang Lin appeared, hatred came from Xianxia's eyes within the demonic energy. She walked out of the demonic energy and revealed herself to Wang Lin. Her face was filled with scars. She was no longer a beauty like she was in the past, but instead was an ugly woman. The skin she revealed was completely filled with shocking scars. Wang Lin took a closer look, and he revealed a bitter expression once more. He seemed to see the cold and stunning figure that had appeared before him back then. However, no matter what, he couldn't seem to match that figure with the person before him. Who can clearly say who was right or wrong back then? Her father's soul is sealed with the celestial sealing stamp, and in order to get revenge, she became like this. Was I wrong in Wang Lin's life? The only thing that mattered to him was to never do something his conscience wouldn't allow. However, right now, a complex feeling appeared in his heart. Wang Lin, you sealed me for hundreds of years. Although I hate you, I can look past it. After all, I did scheme against you first. This matter I can endure, but my father died because of you. My father's revenge is not something I can let go. I can kill you, but there is someone else who can. Xianxia stared at Wang Lin, almost gnashing her teeth. Wang Lin silently pondered. Waking up early today, not updating on time even earlier. Leo went to deal with household chores, unsure what time I'll be back this afternoon. The new chapter tonight might be late. Chapter 1033. The Completion of Karma. 1. This complex feeling wasn't only due to Xianxia. In truth, after cultivating for over 1,300 years, not only had his cultivation level increased, his comprehension of the heavens had deepened. And along with his accumulated life experience, he began to gradually ponder all the killing he had done. Xianxia was merely the thing that set off his self-reflection. Just like when he got drunk with Situ Nan, he didn't dare to look back in his life and see if cultivation was really worth it. In his 1,300 plus years of cultivation, too many people had died by his hands. Even Wang Lin couldn't clearly remember how many he had killed. Killing was not something everyone took delight in. For Wang Lin, these 1,000 plus years of killing only made him feel tired. However, in this cruel cultivation world, if you didn't kill, you would give away your own life. No one could do anything about being forced into the choice of kill or be killed. You couldn't escape from it. You either live or die, and you often only have one chance. If you just did this to me, then that would be the end, but you had to be so vicious against my father. Wang Lin, was there such hatred between you and I? In this cultivation world, it is common to scheme against each other. Although Xianxia, was wrong, was it enough to sentence me to death? Xianxia stared at Wang Lin. The hatred burned in her eyes, and her voice was filled with sorrow. Wang Lin silently pondered. He looked at the horizon and his eyes dimmed. You sealed me for hundreds of years, and you used a dirty method to make it so I couldn't remain calm. All of this I can withstand because I was in the wrong first. However, you shouldn't have killed my father. In addition to the intense hatred in Xianxia's eyes, there were shining tears. Wang Lin let out a sigh. More than 1,000 years of cultivation had made heart tough as well. However, he was, after all, a person, not a devil. He had his reasoning and his own morals. If they don't offend me, I won't offend them. Xianxia's scheme touched Wang Lin's bottom line, so she had to die. However, due to his worry about Blood Ancestor and the blood pill, he didn't kill her. Then, when facing Blood Ancestor, he had to resist in order to survive. If Blood Ancestor didn't die, Wang Lin would have. He had no choice. From Wang Lin's point of view, he wasn't wrong. However, from Xianxia's point of view, she had suffered the price of being sealed for hundreds of years for her scheming against Wang Lin. Like she said, although she hated him, they were even. However, with the death of her father, did she still need to reason with her father's killer? She wasn't able to see what was right or wrong. As the child, no matter what reason, she had to get revenge. From Xianxia's point of view, she wasn't wrong either. All of this is karma. The karmic cause of yesterday will produce the karmic effect of today. Each step was not something she or I could control if she hadn't schemed against me first, or I didn't fear Blood Ancestor, then none of this would have happened. Once the cause is born, it will never extinguish, it will only grow. I was trapped for hundreds of years. It's like the result of trying to keep a lie is to make even more lies. The me from back then didn't comprehend karma, and didn't realize I was already part of the cause. Then when Blood Ancestor came hunting me, I thought that was the effect. However, it seems Blood Ancestor wasn't the effect, only part of the cause. The true effect is not having to fight Blood Ancestor or what Xianxia said, but my own Tao heart. There was some light in Wang Lin's eyes. My karma domain still hasn't reached completion, and the progress has been slow. No matter how much enlightenment I have, it seems I can comprehend what is truly karma back then. I vaguely felt that in order to complete my karma domain, I'll have to complete all karma related to me. It seems my feeling back then was only partially correct. Wang Lin's eyes began to light up even more. Yao Xishui stared at Wang Lin with a venomous gaze. The more Wang Lin remained silent, the stronger her hatred became and her resentment increased. After letting out a mournful cry, Yao Xishui formed a seal and pointed between her eyebrows without hesitation. Wang Lin, let us finish the matter between us. I, Yao Xishui, am willing to sacrifice my soul and my flesh to get revenge for my father. The resentment and hatred from Yao Xishui turned into endless hostility, making her look extremely ferocious. The moment her hand pressed between her eyebrows, the light in her eyes disappeared and was replaced with cold demonic flames. Demon ancestor, I, Yao Xishui, am willing to give up the last trace of my will and completely hand over my flesh. However, you have to promise me you will kill him. Yao Xishui's sharp voice echoed through the world. The moment this sound appeared, a monstrous demonic energy erupted from her body. Her appearance immediately changed due to this demonic energy. Her fingernails grew very long and gave off a cold sharpness. Her hair suddenly grew until it was at her feet and was scarlet red. The hideous scars on her face began to move. They connected together and formed a complex rune. An extremely cold, demonic energy completely erupted from her body and spread out across the sky. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the sky was filled with demonic energy. This demonic energy was filled with cold intent. As the demonic energy spread, cracking sounds came from the ocean. At this instant, most of the ocean froze over. The water on the surface quickly turned to ice, and it rapidly spread. Even the raging waves were frozen like ice sculptures. Even the wall-like wave was frozen. From a distance, it looked very amazing. As you wish. A cold voice came from Yao Xishui's mouth. It was like a chilly wind that swept the world. She had sacrificed her flesh and soul to completely become a vessel for one of the 9 ancient demon spirits. This was the price Yao Xishui had paid to get revenge on Wang Lin. At this moment, the thing controlling Yao Xishui's body was no longer her, but one of the 9 ancient demon spirits, the wind demon. The ancient demon was very adaptive. Back then he was split into 9 parts, each with their own independent mind. Some wanted to fuse back together, but there were also those that didn't and wanted to remain split. During these hundreds of years, Bei Lu had devoured 7 ancient demon spirits and recovered 80% of his previous cultivation. The remaining 20% was with this wind demon. The wind demon was different from the other ancient demon spirits. The wind demon was unwilling to fuse, and regardless of the cost, had chosen another method. After failing to fuse with countless people, he finally selected Yao Xishui. Using her obsession with her hatred of Wang Lin, he was able to successfully fuse. This fusion was insane because it was not a possession. First, he passed his ancient demon inheritance to Yao Xishui. Then, at a great risk, collapsed his body to turn into demonic energy that had no consciousness. As a result, it was giving up his identity as an ancient demon spirit, which was equal to death. At the cost of his own life, he didn't give Bei Lu a chance to devour him. This was something not even Bei Lu had expected. When he realized it, it was too late because the wind demon had collapsed. Although Yao Xishui had the wind demon's memory inheritance, she couldn't access most of it, only absorb. In these hundreds of years of absorbing demonic energy, it had gathered to a certain degree. If she had never chosen to awaken all the memories in the inheritance, then the wind demon wouldn't have been able to awaken in a short period of time. In truth, the wind demon was gambling that for revenge, Yao Xishui was willing to give up everything for power. Moreover, even if he had lost the gamble, it wouldn't have mattered. As long as Yao Xishui continued to absorb demonic energy, then once there was enough, it would automatically force all the memories to open up within the inheritance. In reality, the wind demon really didn't survive. The wind demon had already died, and what remained was just his memories. Yao Xishui was merely the vessel for those memories. The instant the memories were activated completely, all of Yao Xishui's memories would disappear, leaving her body with a soul that only had the memories of the wind demon. As a result, she would become the new wind demon. Facing this phenomenon, even Bei Lu was helpless. The ancient demon spirit he wanted was already gone. It had given up its identity as an ancient demon to become a demonic cultivator. It was no longer an ancient demon. At this moment, the Wind Demon's memories activated along with Yao Shishue's hatred. All of Yao Shishue's memories were quickly devoured, leaving only her intense hatred for Wang Lin. Even though the Wind Demon had devoured her memories, he couldn't erase his hatred. The demonic figure flashed, and the Wind Demon stared coldly at Wang Lin. I don't care about the matter between you and Yao Shishue. She has activated my memories and her existence has already been devoured by me. By doing this, I have done you a favor. The Wind Demon licked his lips and slowly retreated. The frozen sea began to melt, and the cold energy quickly entered the Wind Demon's body. She was very cautious at this moment, because she considered the cultivator before her very dangerous. The aura this cultivator gave off almost made her gasp. She had only agreed to help Yao Shishue to deceive her to give up everything. Even the last as you wish was only to appease Yao Shishue so she wouldn't resist at the end. Now that everything was done, she, the Wind Demon, would not risk fighting against this cultivator she found terrifying for Yao Shishue, who had lost all value. If the person Yao Shishue wanted to kill was very weak, then she could help, but the person before her made her feel a lot of dread. Moreover, her current cultivation level was a lot lower than that of the person before her, so she can take any risks. This is one of the restrictions inside the Celestial Emperor Cave. If all the restrictions are triggered, it won't be good for you or me. Since there is no feud between us, then I'll be leaving. After the Wind Demon spoke, she continued to retreat. Finally, the weekend is here, and Leo can finally sleep to his heart's content, not needing to get up early to take the daughter to school. Been burning the midnight oil these past few days, utterly exhausted. Chapter 1034. The Completion of Karma. 2. Wang Lin slowly raised his head as he pondered, and his gaze fell on the retreating Wind Demon. On the outside, she still looked like Yao Shishue, but Wang Lin sensed that it was a completely different person even though it was still Yao Shishue's soul. Killing intent flashed in Wang Lin's eyes, and he took a step forward. The moment he moved forward, the Wind Demon's pupils suddenly shrank and she rapidly retreated without hesitation. She was the Wind Demon, so her speed was not ordinary. Although she was only a demonic cultivator, her speed was unimaginable. With just one step, she disappeared without a trace. Wang Lin's expression remained calm. The ancient god furnace appeared before him and he pointed forward. With a thought, a speck of light appeared far in the distance. The light was around the escaping Wind Demon. Her eyes filled with shock as the light surrounded her, and a force pulled her toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's body didn't pause. He went with the flow and pressed his finger between the Wind Demon's eyebrows when she passed by. There was a bang and the Wind Demon's body was knocked back and she coughed out blood. Her eyes revealed a cold gaze. I know that for my karma domain to become complete, not only must I clear all my karma, but I must integrate it with myself. Wang Lin seemed to be speaking to himself as he charged at the Wind Demon. The Wind Demon let out a roar and formed a seal as she retreated. Dense demonic energy suddenly spread out, and the ocean that melted froze once more. As the Wind Demon waved, the sea below rumbled as countless ice shards flew at Wang Lin. Little cultivator, this demon originally didn't want to kill you, but you dawned to know your place. The Wind Demon's voice echoed, then the ice shards suddenly closed in on Wang Lin. From a distance, the entire world was surrounded by the ice shards that shot at Wang Lin. It was as if they wanted to completely crush Wang Lin. The moment the ice shards closed in, Wang Lin raised his right hand and gently waved. A sea of flames suddenly appeared before him. At first it wasn't strong, but soon it erupted and spread in all directions with Wang Lin as the center. In an instant, the entire sky was red due to the sea of flames. The ice shards that were rapidly closing in immediately melted into water and then turned into white gas that rose into the air. In an instant, along with the sea of flames, the sky was also filled with white gas. The Wind Demon's pupils shrank and she sucked in a breath of cold air. She had already considered Wang Lin very strong, but it seemed she was still wrong. This person wasn't just terrifying, he was a complete nightmare. Even during her peak power, she didn't dare to say she could claim victory, much less now when she was only at the late stage of Nirvana Scryer. The matter with Yao Shishue is the hurdle to complete my karma domain. After hundreds of years, I have unknowingly become immersed and became part of the karma. Only by thoroughly integrating myself can I truly understand karma. Just like I had to enter hell to understand its desires. Wang Lin's eyes became even more clear, and he moved forward. He was surrounded by a sea of flames, and the extremely hot flames charged at the wind demon. The wind demon's heart trembled. She clenched her teeth as he pointed at the sky without hesitation and shouted, "Law of the wind!" After he spoke, a demonic wind raged within the world and circled the wind demon. Then it shattered into broken pieces of wind that charged at Wang Lin with a point from the wind demon. At this instant, the world changed colors and was covered with demonic wind. Even the ocean rumbled loudly. Cracks appeared in the sky as if it was going collapse. When the blade-like demonic wind swept forward, even the flames dimmed as if they were going to extinguish. However, this wind wasn't able to make Wang Lin even retreat half a step. He continued to move forward and allowed the wind to hit his body. Now that I am immersed in this karma, I must break free of it. Only then can my karma domain reach completion and my Tao heart will have a breakthrough. Wang Lin's right hand formed a fist and he mercilessly threw out a punch. Moment he said breakthrough. There was a heaven-shaking rumble, and when Wang Lin threw his punch, the shadow of an ancient god appeared. Its head was in the sky and its feet stood on the ocean. The ancient god's shadow also threw a punch along with Wang Lin. Ancient god! The wind demon gasped. She had thought that the terrifying aura from Wang Lin's body was familiar. However, the passage of time made her forget many things, and the shadow just now reminded her of many terrifying memories. You were actually an ancient god. The wind demon's scalp went numb. She immediately retreated and almost turned into wind as she quickly escaped. Everything I did before was not wrong before the karma domain. The reason my karma domain isn't complete is because after over 1,000 years of slaughter, a flaw has appeared in my Tao part, like an inner demon. Wang Lin's fist suddenly collided with that endless demonic wind. Popping sounds echoed and the demonic wind was split open and forced to scatter. Wang Lin stared at the wind demon that had already disappeared into the distance, but he didn't panic. He slapped his bag of holding and took out the wither tattoo. Then he placed it on himself. The moment the wither tattoo was placed on him, a black wind wrapped around Wang Lin and a giant tornado appeared in this world. The moment the tornado appeared, a large whirlpool formed in the ocean below his feet. A heaven-shaking roar that seemed to be able to pierce the world came from the tornado Wang Lin was in. Then a black bird appeared within the black wind. The bird's wings suddenly stretched open. Its body was only a few dozen feet tall, but it suddenly expanded greatly when it opened its wings. It was now hundreds of thousands of feet wide. Its large body could cover the sky. As the roar that could tear the world echoed, Wang Lin only took one step, and he could feel the wind hitting him as if he was running through walls. These wall-like obstacles all collapsed before Wang Lin's ancient god body. The spell of that step was impossible to describe. He seemed to have been separated the world and moved forward at a speed similar to spatial bending. The wind demon had used all her cultivation to escape like crazy. In order to prevent Wang Lin from using that strange power to catch up quickly, she didn't care about exhausting the demonic energy in her body. So spread out large amount of demonic energy around her as protection. The demonic energy caused a large ancient demon shadow to appear behind her. The wind demon was very confident in her speed. Just when she thought she had escaped, she suddenly heard a thunderous rumble from behind her. The moment she turned around, she lost her wits. Wang Lin was closing in at an unimaginable speed. Along with Wang Lin, the whirlpool that formed before followed. It moved at a shocking speed and created an earth-shattering roar. It was as if the entire ocean was being stirred up. The karmic effect lies within my Tao heart. The method to clear it is to truly resolve the karma between us. What bullshit karma? This demon can understand a word. Since you want to let me go, this demon will risk it all to kill you. The wind demon no longer fled. The speed she was extremely confident in was a joke before Wang Lin, so how could she escape? She had devoured the endless hatred form Yao Shishu that couldn't be erased, and all of it erupted under Wang Lin's pursuit. The hatred immediately made the scars on the wind demon's face became even more ferocious. The scars formed a formation and released a flash of green light. Ancient demon treasure, soul-sealing flag, the wind demon shouted as she opened her arms. Large amounts of demonic energy appeared and gathered in her hands. Endless demonic energy appeared, and the entire world was surrounded in a cold aura. The entire world showed signs of freezing, and a howling wind began to blow. There were flashes of green lightning within the condensing demonic energy above the wind demon. Then 3 small green flags slowly flew out. The moment the 3 small green flags appeared, the sky changed colors. The ocean below seemed to be split open by a mysterious force. The water was squeezed to the sides in a loud rumble. Countless shadows appeared above the green flags. Among them was unexpectedly an ancient god and 2 single-horned ancient devils. What was even more terrifying was that after the 3 flags appeared, not only did the sea change, even the world became unstable. As the ocean split, it activated all the restrictions here. The activation of the restrictions caused a huge fluctuation within the ocean. All the water began to condense, and in the blink of an eye, countless deep gullies without any water appeared. The intersection of these gullies made the waves even more violent. What was truly shocking was that if one looked from above, as the endless sea condensed, it was taking a humanoid form. Day in, day out, nearing 3,000 words, reading a lot, but can't force myself to split the story into 2,000 words chapters, because then the flavor's gone. Leo with tears in his eyes, longing for the like button for the video. Chapter 103, Calamity Morning, 2. Teng Huayuan let out an eerie smile as he released a massive killing aura. He secretly thought, Grandpa is going to get revenge for you. Thinking about Teng Li, Teng Huayuan couldn't help but feel grief in his heart. The most outstanding 4th-generation disciple of the Teng family suddenly got killed by someone. After Teng Li died, Teng Huayuan dug into the matter and found out what really happened. Aside from Wang Lin, anyone else who was involved was noted by Teng Huayuan. The other cultivator sighed and said, "Fellow cultivator Teng, according to my calculations, that person is at Juming Valley. Why do you want to find his family? Forget about this. All debts have a collector. If word gets out that you took your anger out on mortals, it won't look good." Teng Huayuan's face sank as he stared at the other cultivator without a word. The cultivator bitterly smiled as he shook his head. He held a bronze mirror and formed a seal with his right hand. The bronze mirror immediately floated into the air and started to wander around, as if it was looking for something. However, after flying back and forth for a long time, it wasn't able to find the direction. The cultivator frowned. He knew that this was happening because there were too few clues. He pointed at the mirror, and it flew back into his hand. The cultivator bit his finger and quickly drew a symbol with his own blood on the mirror. He tossed the mirror out again. This time, it grew to several times its original size. The mirror was crystal clear, and there were ripples on the surface. The mirror slanted and faced Teng Huayuan. The cultivator said, with a serious expression, "Don't be surprised, fellow cultivator Teng. My mirror needs to absorb the aura of the curse between you two." Traces of black gas came out of Teng Huayuan's forehead and went into the mirror. The ripples on the mirror increased until the image of a large house was imprinted onto it. Teng Huayuan's eyes were filled with killing intent. After he finished looking, he turned to look at the other cultivator. The cultivator hesitated and let out a sigh. He waved his right hand and the mirror flew to the ground. It immediately increased in size until it was as large as a person. The cultivator forced a smile and walked into the mirror. Teng Huayuan let out a smile and followed behind. After the two entered, the mirror shrank until it disappeared without a trace. There was a small town 100 kilometers away from that spot. The Wang family could be considered a big family in these parts. It was said that the Wang family had younger generations who had joined cultivation sects. These kinds of news spread fast in these small areas. The Wang family started out as a carpenter family with various shops in the towns. From the eyes of an outsider, the Wang family was the largest family in the area. In the entire town, the most luxurious building had to be the Wang family's main house. On this day, the sun in the sky was like a giant furnace baking the earth. A guard of the Wang family was leaning against a pillar, fanning himself to get rid of the heat. His cotton robe was already soaked in the chest and back area. "This damn weather is so hot. How are we supposed to live in this?" The guard opened up his robe and fanned harder. At that moment, the door of a side building opened up, and a servant girl came out with a bowl. She walked through the main household until she arrived at the door. She let out a laugh and said, "Brother, drink this sour plum soup to relieve the heat." The guard turned around and saw the girl. He suddenly smiled and received the bowl. He drank it all in one go. He soon felt a cool sensation in his body and sighed. The masters really know how to enjoy themselves. This ice-cold sour plum soup is really delicious. Little sister, when you came out, you didn't let young Master Hao see you, right? The girl took the fan and helped fan the guard as she smiled and said, "Brother, you can be at ease. The young master didn't see me. I used the moment when he wasn't looking to come out. Besides, young Master Hao is a very good person, so even if he saw me, there wouldn't be any problems." The guard enjoyed his little sister fanning him. He nodded and said, "That is true. Young Master Hao was an immortal. How could he be bothered with us? Little sister, you have to show off more. If you catch young Master Hao's attention and become his concubine, then your brother here would have it easy. Just give me work as a house staff and I'd be happy." The girl's cheeks became red as she rolled her eyes at her brother and said, "Brother, you've worked for the Wang family for longer than I have. I heard that there are a total of 3 young masters who were chosen by immortals, but I've been here for 3 years now, and aside from young Master Hao, I only saw young Master Zhuo once. Where is the 3rd person?" The guard proudly said, "This I know. That 3rd young master is named Wang Lin. He can compare to younger Master Hao and them. I heard that he was As he was speaking, he suddenly closed his mouth and stared at the sky. He saw a rainbow-colored light quickly flying toward them and landing on the ground in the blink of an eye, revealing a youth in black. This youth's skin was as smooth as jade and his face was very handsome. He had a sword on his back, but if one looked closely, they would see that this was no longer a youth. There were lines near the corners of his eyes. The arrogance from his youth was no longer there. Instead, there was a sense of age. Young Master Zhuo. The guard stammered and quickly bowed. The girl was startled by the way the young master landed. She quickly hid herself behind her brother. This person was Wang Zhuo. He frowned as he looked at the guard and said, "Your name is Wang Tao, correct?" The guard didn't think that Wang Zhuo would remember his name. His spirits immediately rose. He replied, "Master, I am Wang Tao." Wang Zhuo hesitated for a bit and slowly said, "Wang Tao, who told you about Wang Lin? What did they say?" Wang Tao's heart trembled as he said, It was the housekeeper who said it. They said that he is too ashamed to return home, and that he was a piece of trash that tried to fight with you for the right to become an immortal." Wang Zhuo pondered silently. After a long time, he let out a sigh. He muttered to himself as well as to Wang Tao, "Trash compared to him. I am afraid I am the real trash." Wang Tao was startled. He heard Wang Zhuo's words and became very confused. Just at that moment, a youth walked out from the house. This youth was very sturdy and handsome. He stood there, looking at Wang Zhuo, and plainly said, "Wang Zhuo, long time no see." Wang Zhuo bitterly smiled and said, "Wang Hao, we haven't seen each other in 3 years. You've changed a lot." Wang Hao's face was filled with melancholy. They both became silent. The guard Wang Tao and his little sister stood on the side, not daring to breath. He knew that these two were the geniuses of the Wang family, high above them both. Wang Hao whispered, "Any news about Wang Lin?" Wang Zhuo revealed a complicated expression and said, "After he left the Hengyue sect, there has been no news." Wang Hao sighed and asked, "What cultivation level are you at now? With your talent, you should have caught the eyes of many elders at the Xuan Dao sect." Wang Zhuo bitterly said, "It's been hard to improve. I am at the 11th layer of QI condensation, and that is only because I managed to win the competition last year by luck and was allowed to enter the back mountain. I wonder what cultivation level he is at now. He must at least be at the 15th layer already." Wang Hao pondered for a while and laughed at himself. "I am only at the TH layer. It's only been a few years, and the gap has already widened." Wang Tao was shocked. Although he didn't know what QI condensation or foundation establishment were, from the talk of the 2 young masters. He understood that this Wang Lin was not the trash that the housekeeper made him out to be. At that moment, the sky suddenly darkened, and the heat in the air suddenly disappeared. A huge mirror quietly appeared in the sky. Ripples appeared on the mirror's surface as 2 people walked out. One of them had a very immortal-like aura, and the other was covered in an evil aura. A huge pressure descended from the sky. Wang Zhuo and Wang Hao's expressions changed greatly. They didn't even dare to breathe. Wang Zhuo quickly clasped his hands and said, "Junior is Xuan Dao Sect S. Wang Zhuo." "Greetings, both seniors." The fairy-like immortal was startled and asked Xuan Dao Sect, "Do you have proof?" Wang Zhuo's heart skipped a beat. He had a feeling that something bad was about to happen as he quickly took out his identity jade. The cultivator took the jade and looked at it. Then he looked at Wang Hao and asked, "You are as well?" Wang Hao was smart. He nodded without hesitation. Tang Weiyuan let out a snort as he waved his hand. With two bangs, the heads of the guard and his little sister exploded. Blood sprayed everywhere. Two clouds of yellow gas floated up from the bodies. Tang Weiyuan took out a flag and collected the two clouds of gas. Shortly after, two faces filled with pain appeared on the flag. It was the guard and his sister. Tang Weiyuan grimly said, "Today, no one will be left alive." He stepped past Wang Zhuo and Wang Hao into the main household. As for Wang Lin, he was quickly moving through Juming Valley. Behind him were two male cultivators and one female cultivator. They were filled with killing intent as they chased him. As he was running, his heart suddenly hurt, as if a stake was stuck through it. This pain wasn't from any injury, but a feeling in his heart. An unknown sense of panic and frustration appeared in his heart. International Children's Day brings tears and wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1035, Generations. The humanoid that was condensed from the water seemed to be asleep, but it was showing signs of awakening. The wind demoness expression was ferocious, and she paid no attention to the changes happening in the ocean. Her right hand formed a seal and she chanted a strange sound. This was the language of the ancient order. When this sound came from the mouth of an ancient god, it contained majesty and sense of age. When it came from the wind demon, although it contained a sense of age, it was more sharp and eerie. The wind demon pointed forward, and the three small flags began rotating around her. Dense, green gas came from the flags, and then a huge phantom appeared. This phantom was tens of thousands of feet tall. It looked indomitable, and it felt like the world couldn't accommodate its existence. There were 6 stars rotating between the eyebrows of this giant phantom. As the green gas moved, 2 ferocious figures appeared next to the ancient demon. They were only 1,000 feet tall, but the moment they appeared, a monstrous demonic energy erupted as if they wanted to break free from the shackles of the green gas. There were 6 stars rotating in the right eye of each ancient demon. The moment Wang Lin saw these 3 shadows, his pupils suddenly shrank. The wind demon stood before the 3 phantoms. Her hands formed a seal as she stared at Wang Lin and shouted, "I don't care if you an ancient god. You will become one of the main flags of my ancient demon clan's holy treasure." A flash of killing intent appeared in the wind demon's eyes and her right hand pointed forward. The 3 phantoms behind her moved. The 6-star ancient god took a step forward and threw a punch at Wang Lin. The 2 ancient devil phantoms charged at Wang Lin with a bloodthirsty auras from the sides as if they wanted to devour Wang Lin. Although Beilu wasn't a royal ancient demon, his status was not normal among the ancient demon clan. This soul-sealing flag was gifted to him by a royal ancient demon. Although it was not as powerful as a royal treasure, it still had great power. Before Beilu was divided, he had the soul-sealing flag. Once he summoned it, all 49 small flags would fly out. Not everyone sealed inside was killed by him. They were sealed there by generations of people who were its masters before him. Beilu was only the 7th generation owner. Rumors had it that the first owner was extremely powerful and strong enough to directly confront later generation ancient gods. He was an extremely rare 4th generation ancient demon. The ancient order was a clan that defied the heavens and then split into 3 different clans. The 1st generation ancient gods, ancient demons, and ancient devils contained a large amount of the ancient order bloodline and inheritance. After them were the 2nd generation ancient gods, ancient demons, and ancient devils. Although they were weaker than their 1st generation counterparts, they still had a lot of the ancient order bloodline. However, as time passed, the ancient order bloodline and inheritance became more scarce among the 3 clans, and in the end there was only a trace. The so-called royal clan was the group with the most ancient order bloodline remaining. They were also the direct descendants of the 1st generation of the 3 clans. Beilu was a 79th generation ancient demon, but his treasure had a long history and was very famous. However, The wind demon had gave up her identity as an ancient demon, so her ancient demon body had dissipated, and therefore she could no longer use the real treasure. At this moment, the three flags were formed by condensing her demonic energy into phantoms. It was much like how Wang Lin summoned the god-slaying spear. The wind demon pointed forward and the ancient god and ancient demons from the flag charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin was able to immediately see through the three flags. His right hand reached out at the void, and a crack appeared along with a thunderous boom. It was as if a large gully had appeared in the sky. Lightning arched along the edge of the gully and thunderous rumbles could be heard. At the same time as Wang Lin's right hand grasped the void, a heaven-shaking pressure came out of the gully. This pressure was extremely powerful, and it immediately caused the wind demon's expression to change. The thunderous rumbles were echoing across the world when a ray of black light flew into Wang Lin's hand. It was the god-slaying spear. Royal ancient god holy treasure. The wind demon had memories of this. When she saw the god-slaying spear, her pupils shrank and her eyes filled with fear. You re a royal bloodline, ancient god. Wang Lin's right hand held the god-slaying spear and waved it forward. The six-star ancient goddess body trembled as he stared at the god-slaying spear, and his dim gaze suddenly looked bright. He was only an ordinary six-star ancient god, so in terms of generations he was even lower than Bei Lu. Now that he saw his clan's holy treasure, his body trembled and stopped. If the soul-sealing flag was actually here, he wouldn't have done this, but what the wind demon summoned was only in phantom. It was far weaker than the real thing, and even the souls sealed inside it were weakened significantly. The wind demon secretly complained and hated Yao Shishu for provoking such a terrifying existence. If she had known she had provoked someone like Wang Lin, she would have never fused with Yao Shishu. Damn it. In Yao Shishu's memories he was so weak that he could be killed with a flick of my finger. How could he be an ancient god, and even a royal bloodline ancient god? The wind demon knew in her heart that the royal bloodline was extremely rare to the point of extinction among the three clans, so it was very difficult to find one. Bei Lu had only met a royal bloodline ancient demon by pure chance. In truth, with the wind demon's strength, as long as she didn't encounter Wang Lin, she could have done as she liked thanks to her various spells and unmatched speed, even if the likes of Sichuan came. However, when facing Wang Lin, all of her methods were suppressed. Her speed wasn't fast enough, her spells weren't strong enough, and even her treasures weren't useful. Although both were only phantoms, she couldn't beat Wang Lin's royal treasures. At this moment, as Wang Lin's god-slaying spear swept forward, the world changed colors as if everything was trembling. The god-slaying spear swept straight toward the two trembling ancient demons. These two ancient demons were only phantoms that didn't contain any of the power of the true soul-sealing flag. If they encountered ordinary cultivators, they could put up a fight, but they weren't even qualified to face Wang Lin's god-slaying spear. When the god-slaying spear whistled by, it was fast beyond imagination. One of the ancient demons' body was pierced by the spear. It turned into endless demonic energy that seemed to be swept away by the spear. In the blink of an eye, the ancient demon's body disappeared. The wind demon's pupils shrank. At the moment of life and death, she spat out blood without hesitation. Then her right hand quickly formed a strange mark, and she pointed forward and shouted, "Flag destruction!" The green flags that formed the three phantoms rapidly rotated and then collapsed under the command of the wind demon. The powerful impact turned into a green dragon that charged at the god-slaying spear. When the small flags collapsed, the remaining ancient god and ancient demon collapsed. They entered the green dragon and made it even more powerful. The god-slaying spear and the green dragon collided at an extremely fast speed. The moment they touched, a sphere 1,000 feet wide appeared between the two treasures. This sphere contained black and green gas that continued to fight against each other. The sphere was also flashing along its edges, and popping sounds continued to come out from inside it. A terrifying destructive pressure surrounded the area in an instant. This was a battle between the treasure of the ancient god and ancient demon clans. One was the royal god-slaying spear, and the other was one of 4 first-generation ancient devil treasures. They were both just illusions, but they were very powerful. The black gas inside the orb was filled with agrants, as if everything before it had to be destroyed. The green gas struggled like crazy, but it couldn't escape the fate of being forced to retreat. When the green gas retreated, the entire ball became black. Just at this moment, the orb divided. There was a heaven-shaking sound that echoed in the world. The thunderous rumble could churn the clouds and tear the sky. As the sound echoed, it set off the ocean waves once more. Under the impact of the collapse, the green dragon collapsed and dissipated. The god-slaying spear pierced through and charged at the wind demon. The wind demon coughed out blood. Her treasure was destroyed, and although it was only an illusion, it was still linked to her demonic energy. Seriously injured, she saw the god-slaying spear close in. Her face turned pale and she quickly retreated. Wang Lin's expression was cold, and he quickly gave chase. The wind demon became extremely angry and cursed. I didn't get involved with the matter between you and Yao Shushu. You keep claiming it's karma. I am a wind demon, not some damn karma. You were originally outside of this karma, but you forcibly joined in. If you choose to give up Yao Shishue's body, I can let you go. Bullshit, I am only a memory. How do I leave? The wind demon gnashed her teeth. She inwardly regretted fusing with Yao Shishu. Although the wind demon didn't understand karma, she had a vague feeling that she had entered a situation she couldn't escape. The god-slaying spear closed in and was about to catch up to the wind demon when Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's expression changed and his body moved. Then a giant hand made of water came out of the ocean and swept past where Wang Lin was, and it grabbed hold of the god-slaying spear. The hand ruthlessly squeezed the god-slaying spear, causing the spear to emit a powerful black light. Quickly approaching 3,900 words, Leo fierce as a tiger. Wishing for sharing, for likes on the video, for channel followers. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1036. Your name is Yao Shishu. The flower restriction in the Celestial Emperor Cave was completely activated by the fight between Wang Lin and the Wind Demon. The large hand grabbed the god-slaying spear and immediately tried to drag it down. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes and he shouted, "Collapse!" After he spoke, the black light from the god-slaying spear intensified until it was like a black sun. Even the arm formed by the ocean looked black from the light. The moment this black light reached a limit, a loud bang echoed across the world and a devastating destructive force swept by. The arm made of seawater collapsed and even the seawater itself dissipated. However, not only did Wang Lin's expression not relax, but became even more serious. Even the wind demon's expression changed as she stared at the ocean. Roar! A low roar came from the ocean. This roar was heaven shaking and turned into a sound wave that echoed across the world. The thunderous rumbles couldn't cover up this roar. At the same time, the ocean churned violently and started to rise. Wang Lin's pupils shrank and the scene before him made him gasp. This wasn't water rising into the air, but the humanoid figure formed by the ocean sitting up. This was a giant whose size was impossible to estimate. Just sitting up made it feel as if it was about to pierce the sky. Its huge body was composed of water, and when it sat up, the deep seabed was revealed. The ocean was no longer there. Only this giant made of seawater remained. A sea giant. It was impossible to clearly see its appearance with its muddled facial features, but its large ears made it look nothing like a cultivator. It coldly stared at the small Wang Lin and wind demon in the sky. Then it slowly raised its hand, which set off a huge wave, and reached toward Wang Lin. Before it even closed in, a loud rumble rushed at him like a gust of wind. Wang Lin immediately retreated and dodged the approaching palm. A mere restriction formed by dew. I don't consider you worth of my attention. Two balls of flame appeared in Wang Lin's eyes, and the vermilion bird tattoo on his body glowed red. The moment the giant's hand swept by, Wang Lin opened his arms and a sea of flames erupted from his body. The moment the sea of flames appeared, it began to sweep the area as Wang Lin's origin energy surged out. In the blink of an eye, it filled the sky and caused a loud rumble. This scene was extremely shocking. The sky was covered in a sea of flames, and below it was a giant made of seawater. The moment the giant's arm closed in, Wang Lin let out a roar within the sea of flames. Wang Lin's will infused into the flame, and the entire sea of flames descended from the sky at the giant. The sea of flames fell like a rain of fire down on the sea giant. The flames released high heat before they even closed in on the giant. The wind demon saw this from a distance and gasped. She dreaded Wang Lin even more now. In almost an instant, the sea of flames gathered from all directions around the sea giant. Large amounts of water vapor spread out as white mist in a ring shape. The sea giant roared once more. As it roared, it was as if all the water inside its body was boiling, and then it suddenly scattered in all directions. It looked as if the sea wanted to devour the sky. From a distance, you wouldn't be able to tell Wang Lin was fighting, because it looked like the sky and ocean were battling each other. The sea was majestic and charged directly at the sea of flames in the sky. In an instant, a monstrous wave that was like a wall that connected to the sky swept across. It formed a ring and began contracting toward the center like crazy. The rumbling was heaven shaking. As the seawall closed in, all of the flames were immediately extinguished. The wall shrank until it was only 1,000 feet from Wang Lin, and all the fire it touched had collapsed. As it contracted, a giant face appeared within the wall when it was 1,000 feet from Wang Lin. This was the face of the sea giant. The moment it appeared, it let out a roar and opened its mouth. It then charged at Wang Lin to devour him. The flame in Wang Lin's eyes burned brightly, and the vermilion bird tattoo shined through his clothes. With a thought, a vermilion bird cry came from within his body. This vermilion bird cry was powerful and majestic. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's entire body began to burn, and the red vermilion bird rushed out from his body and opened its wings. At this moment, an indescribable sea of flames appeared. The moment the sea giant's mouth arrived, a trace of killing intent flashed in Wang Lin's eyes, and he softly said, "Vermilion bird flame." After he spoke those words, the vermilion bird above him suddenly expanded its wings, and endless flames erupted and spread in all directions. These flames were boundless, and as they spread, miserable roar came from the sea giant as it was forced to retreat. Even the wall-like wave that was within 1,000 feet of Wang Lin immediately evaporated when it came in contact with the flame. The water turned to mist and was pushed back. It retreated several times faster than when it closed in. However, the vermilion bird's flames chased closely after it. At this moment, the wall of water dissipated and condensed back into the sea giant. However, the size of the sea giant had changed greatly. It was now less than 10,000 feet tall, and it was no longer sitting but standing. The moment the sea giant reformed, the vermilion bird flame descended and surrounded the giant. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he pointed forward. The vermilion bird let out another cry. It turned into a ball of flames and charged like a meteor toward the sea giant. It broke through the seawater and went inside the sea giant. Miserable roars continued to come from the sea giant. It was surrounded by flames already, and when the vermilion bird charged in, even its insides were burning. As the sea giant was burning from both inside and outside, it waved its arms as if it was struggling. However, it couldn't stop the water that formed its body from being turned into gas that filled the sky. This made the wind demon reveal an extremely bitter expression. She finally realized the gap between her and Wang Lin, and this made her silently ponder. However, there was a flash of viciousness in her eyes that were filled with frustration. As the sea giant struggled in vain and its body continued to dissipate into mist, its body got smaller and smaller. Just when it was about to disappear completely, the sea giant let out a thunderous roar, and its entire body began to contract until it was only one drop of water. Then it unexpectedly broke through the flames and charged straight at Wang Lin. The vermilion bird cried once more and chased closely after the drop of water. The drop of water was so fast that it instantly closed in on Wang Lin. It was obviously its last struggle before death, but Wang Lin didn't panic, and a flash of blue light came from his right eye. The azure light shield immediately appeared before him. There was a thunderous roar when a powerful impact hit the azure light shield. It was pushed back several inches by the force, but it didn't crack. It blocked the attack of the drop of water. At the same time, the vermilion bird closed in and surrounded the drop of water with unimaginable heat. The water droplet became smaller and smaller before it finally disappeared after one final roar. The roar of the sea giant still echoed across the sky. However, when the last water drop disappeared, the entire sky rumbled as if it was going to collapse. At this moment, the sky seemed to be torn, and the seabed shattered inch by inch. This collapse only lasted for several breaths before the sky shattered. The seabed also shattered and exposed the green beneath it. This entire world was only a drop of dew on the leaf of a flower. Wang Lin only felt his vision blur, and when he reappeared, he was in the flower field he fell in before. The moment the ocean world collapsed, the wind demon charged out at full speed. Her goal was to charge into another restriction to escape. However, just as she moved, Wang Lin's figure appeared. Terrified, the wind demon was going to retreat when a cold voice entered her ears. "Stop!" The wind demon's body suddenly stopped. Although she recovered in an instant, it was enough for Wang Lin. Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed at a scar on the wind demon's face. With a sizzling sound, the scar on the wind demon's face disappeared, revealing white skin below it. "Yao Shi Shui, I want to kill you. I will save you. This will clear our karma and let you meet your father. After that, we will go our own ways and never meet again." Wang Lin's right hand didn't stop. Every time he pressed down, one of the wind demon's scars would disappear. His hand was very fast, leaving behind many afterimages. Before the stop spell stopped working, another stop spell was used. Fear-filled wind demon's eyes. She had already guessed what Wang Lin was going to do. As Wang Lin's right hand continued to move, the countless scars on the wind demon slowly disappeared, until none were left. At this moment, the wind demon returned back to her previously beautiful self. Her jade-like white skin seemed like it would shatter from just a breath. The crystal-clear color emitted a special kind of charm. For an instant, Wang Lin thought he could see the Yao Shisha from back then. Finally, Wang Lin pointed to the spot between the wind demon's eyebrows. The wind demon's body immediately trembled. She remembered how Wang Lin had used that strange teleportation spell when the battle started. He could have seriously injured her, but instead he had chosen to simply point to between her eyebrows. During that moment of crisis, she didn't think too much. However, when Wang Lin pointed to between her eyebrows again, the wind demon seemed to realize something. The first point was to make yours and Yao Shishui's memories fuse, and thus create an opening. Only then would there be a chance for a rescue. Wang Lin seemed to be talking to himself as he pointed at the wind demon one last time. His eyes revealed a strange light. When the wind demon saw this gaze, a chill swept her heart. "If you had really done as you promised, help Yao Shishui get revenge, then you would have been part of the karma rather than an intrusion. If that were the case, I wouldn't have interfered. However, you didn't do that. I don't care that you cheated Yao Shishui, but you destroyed the chance for my life and death domain and karma domain to evolve. Moreover, your inheritance is only memories. And the real you is dead. Although you call yourself a demon, you are just Yao Shishu. You can die, because you read just a memory." The mysterious light in Wang Lin's eyes became even stronger. Then he opened his mouth and inhaled deeply. Wang Lin used the most overbearing devouring spell passed down from Xianxia. What he devoured was the demonic energy inside Yao Shishu. The fear in the wind demon's eyes reached its limit when this suction force appeared. She felt all the demonic energy in her body get sucked into this cultivator's mouth. The demonic energy came out of the wind demon and was sucked into Wang Lin's mouth. Finally, even the memories engraved inside Yao Shishui's soul were also inhaled by Wang Lin. "You shouldn't have left your memories inside Yao Shishu. There is no hatred between us, so I'll find another vessel for you." The fear in Yao Shishui's eyes dissipated, and her body trembled. Confusion filled her eyes and she was extremely weak. The moment she became sober, she immediately retreated a few steps, and the confusion in her eyes became even stronger. "You are Yao Shishu," stared at Wang Lin, but her mind was completely blank. No matter how much she tried, she couldn't find any memories. The fear of having no memories immediately appeared on her face. The current her was helpless, and the fear on her face clearly landed in Wang Lin's eyes. "Your name is Yao Shishui, and I am a friend of yours." Yao Shishui muttered softly, but confusion still filled her eyes. However, there was a hint of caution in her gaze at Wang Lin. Wang Lin let out a sigh, then he opened his mouth and a ray of ghostly light came out. This startled Yao Shishui, and she exclaimed and retreated once more. Her gaze was no longer cautious but filled with fear. After losing all her memories, she was like a mortal seeing a cultivator use spells for the first time. The 18 Hell Celestial Sealing Stamp appeared before Wang Lin. After pondering for a moment, he pointed at the 14th layer. There was only one soul inside the TH layer. This soul was surrounded in a mist of blood and gave off a monstrous amount of resentment. Blood ancestor. Tears streaming long, wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1037 Meeting. When Wang Lin's finger landed on the 18 Hell Celestial Sealing Stamp, there was a flash of red light. It was as if a blood-colored light had filled the cave and made the flowers red. As the blood light became brighter, a red mist came out from the 14th layer. The blood ancestor stared at Wang Lin with a bloodthirsty gaze from within the red mist. However, he immediately noticed Xianxia's presence and looked over. He was startled for a moment, and then his expression became gentle. Xianxia's face was pale as she looked at everything before her. Blood ancestor, I promised you back then that I'd let you meet your daughter. Now I have completed my promise. Wang Lin waved his right hand and the red mist around blood ancestor dissipated. This released him from Wang Lin's control. Blood ancestor's soul flashed red and gradually took human form. He stared at his daughter before him, and his eyes filled with excitement. The matter from back then is over now. Xianxia schemed against me and was sealed for hundreds of years. You wanted to kill me and ended up like this. I was also a cause in this matter, as Xianxia lost her memory to become a puppet for the wind demon to get revenge. Now that I've saved her, let us forget the past. From now on, you two no longer have anything to do with me. Our karma is cleared. If you continue to entangle me, then don't blame me for killing both of you and not allowing either of you to enter the reincarnation cycle. Wang Lin's calm voice contained a hint of coldness. He waved his sleeves and walked into the distance. Blood ancestor, you don't need to return to the TH layer. I set you free to accompany your daughter. This is the Celestial Emperor Cave in the Demon Spirit Land. You two can find a place to hide until the entire cave has been opened. Xianxia's gaze fell on Wang Lin's back, and she was filled with confusion. She couldn't think of anything, but also didn't want to think about it. There was a voice in her mind telling her that her past was like the wind. It was now gone, and she should just let it be. Xianxia could tell it was her voice, as if they were the last words she left herself before losing her memories. Blood ancestor looked at Wang Lin, who gradually walked away, and revealed a complex expression. After the seal was released, he regained his consciousness. Although he was only a soul, someone of his cultivation level could find a way to reform his body and continue to cultivate. When Wang Lin's leaving figure entered his eyes, there was no longer the hatred he had in the past. Blood ancestor understood that if Wang Lin wanted to kill them, it wouldn't take any effort. Wang Lin didn't kill them, and instead gave him freedom and his daughter a new life. After letting out a sigh, the hatred was no longer important. What was important was his daughter's safety. Although she was left with no memories, it might have been for the best. After experiencing all of this, blood ancestor felt old. The only thing in his mind was allowing his daughter to live peacefully. It was better to let everything else go. Blood ancestor looked kindly at Xianxia and softly said, "Child, come with Dad." Although she had lost her memories, she felt a sense of trust toward blood ancestor from her blood. The father and daughter duo gradually walked away. Dad, was what he said just now true? Truth and lies are no longer important. We will never have contact with him anymore. He is not someone we can provoke. As blood ancestor spoke, he looked into the distance. He could no longer see through Wang Lin. He is no longer a junior that I don't even need to pay attention to. In just these several hundreds of years, he has already grown to such a degree. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he slowly moved forward. His method in dealing with the karma regarding Xianxia might seem strange from someone else's point of view. However, as long as he thought that that was how it should be, then that's how it will be. Wang Lin gradually walked away step after step. A powerful aura began gathering in his body, and it became stronger as he walked. In the end, this aura was monstrous. Wang Lin's eyes became brighter under this monstrous aura. After he dealt with the matter with Xianxia and escaped from that karma, his Tao heart became complete. Wang Lin could feel his stagnant cultivation beginning to show signs of a breakthrough. Xianxia and Blood Ancestor had disappeared into a restriction to wait for the day the cave was completely opened. Looking around the cave, there was no one else left in the cave. The ruin caused by the explosion of the celestial burial pool was still there. Not far away was the deep pit where the celestial burial pool was. Slivers of cold energy came out from inside the pit. After looking around, Wang Lin's gaze looked ahead. This was only the outer part of the Celestial Emperor cave, and he was not even close to the inner part. From here, he could see the large amount of pavilions and buildings in the distance. These buildings formed an irregular pattern. At the end of Wang Lin's line of sight, he could see a palace in the depths of these buildings surrounding by a veil of dense black fog. The palace could barely be seen. While pondering, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he slapped his bag of holding. A jade appeared in his hand. It was a celestial jade that gave off a gentle light. Wang Lin originally obtained this in the demon spirit land. Inside, it was the stop spell and the method for refining celestial guards. Wang Lin remembered that when he examined the jade, there was also a map inside. However, Wang Lin felt like this map was unfamiliar, so he didn't pay much attention to it. Looking at the cave now, he vaguely felt it was familiar. Then he remembered the map in the jade. When he took out the jade, his divine sense went inside it, and his expression changed. The place the map depicted was this Celestial Emperor cave. Wang Lin carefully examined the map and carefully remembered everything. After pondering for a bit, he didn't move carelessly. Instead, he retreated next to the pit left by the celestial burial pool and looked down. The pit was completely dark, and his gaze couldn't pierce it. This place is not bad. Wang Lin took a step and entered the pit. However, he didn't descend very fast. He only went down few hundred feet. Then Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding, causing a dozen large swords to fly out and sweep the sides of the pit. Gravel flew everywhere, and a moment later a cave was formed. Wang Lin went inside and sat down. After taking a deep breaths, Wang Lin placed many restrictions before he calmed down. Then he slapped his bag of holding, causing a ray of silver light to fly out, and it turned into a beautiful woman. This woman looked at Wang Lin, but didn't speak. She sat down next to the entrance and guarded Wang Lin. Wang Lin examined the silver female corpse while he sat there. He felt like there was something different around her after she absorbed the flower poison. However, he couldn't tell what it was. He spread out his divine sense and found that the original control seal inside her body was still there. It wasn't damaged at all, and all the other hidden restrictions he had placed were there as well. Only then did he relax and close his eyes to cultivate. Now that my cultivation is showing a sign of a breakthrough, I must take this chance and ascend. Only then can I gain a better chance in this Celestial Emperor cave. When he closed his eyes, the origin energy inside him suddenly cycled through his whole body. A trace of fiery heat came out from his body, but it stayed within certain distance from his body and didn't spread. His domain had made a breakthrough due to the matter with Xianxia. Now that Wang Lin began using his cultivation, which was stagnant at the peak of the mid-stage of Nirvana Scryer, began to loosen. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. During these 3 days, Wang Lin didn't move, and the origin energy inside his body cycled even faster. In the end, the flow of his origin energy was so smooth, it was impossible to tell where it began or ended. The silver female corpse had protected Wang Lin the whole time. She would often look at Wang Lin for a long time, and there would be a trace of confusion in her gaze. However, this trace of confusion would be immediately hidden very well. On the 4th day, Wang Lin opened his eyes. After pondering for a bit, he took out few origin souls of people he had killed. Then he devoured them without any hesitation. There isn't enough origin energy here, so this is the only way to make a breakthrough. While Wang Lin's cultivation level was increasing from the mid-stage of Nirvana Scryer, a shocking scene occurred far away from the Celestial Emperor cave. Every Alliance cultivator who saw this was shocked. There were red flames coming from the distant horizon. It was as if the flames were coming to burn everything into nothingness. The red flames gradually closed in and became brighter and brighter. The light was extremely harsh, and it looked as if the endless flames were going to sweep across the stars. They were also moving at an unimaginable speed. An extremely large vermilion bird with wings hundreds of kilometers wide was flying at the front of the flames. This vermilion bird was composed of fire, and its unimaginable heat could be felt from far away. The heat from this vermilion bird would shock all cultivators. Wherever the vermilion bird passed, the pupils of all the nearby cultivators shrank and they rushed to avoid it. They didn't dare to approach at all. Any powerful cultivator with any worldly knowledge suddenly felt an ancient name explode in their mind when they saw the vermilion bird. Vermilion Bird Divine Sect. The like button for the VIDEO is in danger. Urgently wishing for the like button for the VIDEO's aid. Chapter 1038. Peak of Nirvana Scryer. The ancient Vermilion Bird Divine Sect seemed to have become a myth. These 4 words didn't even exist in the minds of some cultivators. The 4 Divine Sect had faded away for far too long. Their former glory had become a memory of the past, and even that gradually disappeared with the passage of time. Only a few powerful cultivators still retained respect for the 4 Divine Sect in their memories. They would tremble from the bottom of their hearts when they hear the name 4 Divine Sect. The 4 Divine Sect was even more powerful and mysterious than the current Cultivation Alliance. Even the brilliant Void Realm dreaded the 4 Divine Sect. As a result, they teamed up with the Cultivation Alliance. After many conspiracies, they were able to bring the 4 Divine Sect to their weakest point. The most powerful Azure Dragon Divine Emperor went missing, and the news of the most feared Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor entering his 3rd Heaven S-Blight was leaked. This opened the 4 Divine Sect for an unprecedented crisis. Nevertheless, the 4 Divine Sect was still strong enough to fight against the Cultivation Alliance, and they didn't fear the brilliant Void Realm. After all, for various reasons, the brilliant Void Realm could only help in secret. Even if they stepped out, the 4 Divine Sect could activate the 4 Divine Treasures and put up a fight. However, at the most critical moment of the 4 Divine Sect's battle against the Alliance, a heaven-shaking event occurred that eventually caused the 4 Divine Sect to finally decline. The Black Tortoise Divine Emperor, his 3 major disciples, and a majority of his sect betrayed the 4 Divine Sect. Not only this, but during the betrayal, he sneak-attacked the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor. Although he ultimately failed, he caused the 3rd Heaven S-Blight, which the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor was suppressing, to erupt. This kind of thing was completely unbelievable for the 4 Divine Sect, who relied on bloodline inheritances. The betrayal of the Black Tortoise Divine Emperor and a majority of his sect caused an unimaginable change to this war. Originally, with the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor missing, the ancient 4 Divine Treasures lost a lot of their power. Now that the Black Tortoise Divine Emperor had betrayed the 4 Divine Sect, the power of the 4 Divine Treasures weakened even more. Even until now, no one knew why the Black Tortoise Divine Emperor, who was one of the 4 Divine Emperors, betrayed the 4 Divine Sect. This whole thing was an unsolved mystery. The betrayal of the Black Tortoise Divine Emperor strengthened the Cultivation Alliance. That battle shook the entire star system and left bloody corpses everywhere. However, the Cultivation Alliance still underestimated the 4 Divine Sect. After the betrayal, the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor risked failing his 3rd Heaven S-Blight and filled the stars with a sea of flames. He then split into 10 avatars and launched a crazy counterattack. This battle was a tragedy. The few cultivators that survived would shiver every time they remembered it. In the end, the 4 Divine Sect was defeated. The brilliant Void Realm broke the promise they had made countless years ago to not get involved in the battle and openly join the fight. The original intention was to completely wipe out the 4 Divine Sect. However, even they underestimated the 4 Divine Sect. The Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor lost 8 avatars and his original body almost collapsed, leaving behind only a trace of will. The Azure Dragon Divine Sect suffered heavy casualties. Only 1 or 2 out of every 10 members survived. The Black Tortoise Divine Sect almost collapsed. The White Tiger Divine Emperor killed many of the Alliance's first group of elders and many people from the brilliant Void Realm. Even in the end, when he died, his body didn't collapse but stood there, blocking the Cultivation Alliance's army. The monstrous killing intent he released shocked countless people and made it so none of them dared to move forward. This tragic war ended here, and it could be said that both sides suffered greatly. The 4 Divine Sect lost, but the Cultivation Alliance's strength also suffered greatly. Even the brilliant Void Realm had to stop their plans to completely wipe out the 4 Divine Sect. It wasn't that they didn't want to, but if they continued, then the price for winning was not something the Alliance or the brilliant Void Realm could withstand. After all, there was still the rumor 4 divine treasures that could split the heavens. If they really forced the 4 divine sect into a desperate situation, the 4 divine sect could easily sacrifice the entire sect to take them down with them. From then on, the 4 divine sect disappeared without a trace. In these tens of thousands of years, they almost never appeared, and even when they did, they only occupied a small number of planets. In such a way, they also integrated into the alliance. Planet Suzaku was a good example. However, the appearance of a vermilion bird hundreds of thousands of kilometers large among the stars clearly signaled that the 4 divine sect would surge within the star system once more. Along the way, even the meteors that flew by were burned to ashes by the vermilion bird. This shocked many alliance cultivators, and they began to speculate. Even Al-Heaven immediately obtained information about the appearance of the vermilion bird. When Master Flamespark heard the news, he immediately began to laugh. The war that Al-Heaven had put on hold had begun once more on a large scale. They used the northern region as a base and swept forward. Even more Al-Heaven cultivators came from Al-Heaven. Almost all of cultivators in Al-Heaven were pulled out to attack the alliance in full force. Wang Lin didn't know about any of this. At this moment, he was sitting in the hole, cultivating with his eyes closed. Every now and then, he would take out an origin soul to devour. Fortunately, he had enough origin souls inside his bag for him to devour. The origin energy inside his body cycled faster and faster. A powerful aura surrounded his body and swept the area like a storm. The cave he was in wasn't too big, and countless cracks appeared within the storm and large amounts of gravel fell off the walls. But Wang Lin wasn't too aware of any of this. He had reached a critical moment in his breakthrough. Before any gravel could land on him, there was a flash of silver light. It was the silver female corpse shattering all of them. Endless origin energy came from the origin souls Wang Lin devoured, and the origin energy gathered inside Wang Lin's origin soul like crazy. If it was before the vermilion bird awakening and his origin energy didn't contain the holy flame, then he would have already broken through. However, Wang Lin's origin energy contained flames, so the origin energy he devoured had to be altered. It was refined inside his origin soul. Although it was more troublesome once it succeeds, Wang Lin's strength will increase several-fold. Large amounts of origin energy changed to contain powerful flames, causing Wang Lin's body to release large amounts of heat as the origin energy cycled through his body. The sides of the cave turned red and collapsed. It was as if these rocks had been buried inside a volcano for a long time and contained extreme heat. The silver female corpse frowned, but she didn't move even half a step. As his aura grew stronger and stronger, the origin energy storm from his body also became stronger. A loud rumble shook the cave and caused a widespread collapse. The ground Wang Lin was sitting on suddenly cracked. As the floor gave out, Wang Lin fell down. The storm around him kicked away all the fallen gravel. Right now, Wang Lin's storm was like a drill digging down. The silver female corpse followed Wang Lin as a ray of silver light. The high heat flowed into her face, causing her pale face to turn slightly more red. She didn't blink and always kept her eyes on Wang Lin. Wang Lin's body continued to sink. Then he suddenly opened his eyes. 2 beams of flames came out from his eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, the storm around him reached a peak and swept the area. Then the aura of a late-stage Nirvana Scryer cultivator spread out. This powerful feeling made him feel as if he controlled the world. At this moment, he felt as if he could destroy the world with one spell. Everything he saw changed. Everything before him seemed to be made of strings. This was the law within his eyes. After reaching the second step, one had to scry the laws. Once one had reached a certain point, they would be able to reach the peak of Nirvana Scryer. I've broken through. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Just reaching the late state of Nirvana Scryer was not enough for him. After his domain evolved and he reached the late stage Nirvana Scryer, he felt like there was still some room. He only needed enough origin energy to reach the peak of the late stage of Nirvana Scryer. Wang Lin's eyes shined. He had no time to check himself, so he just devoured all the origin souls inside his body. At this moment, his late-stage Nirvana Scryer energy was altered to contain flames and became much stronger. The origin energy inside Wang Lin's body continued to transform, and Wang Lin's body temperature gradually rose. The vermilion bird tattoo charged out of his body and circled around him. The cries of the vermilion bird echoed. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he began to frown. Just a bit more. While pondering, Wang Lin's body flickered, and his avatar walked out. Now there were two Wang Lins. The original body sat down, and due to being separated from the avatar, his monstrous killing intent filled the area. The avatar had a calm face. After he left the original body, he stepped out from the cave. He floated in the air, and the vermilion bird quickly hovered over him. Wang Lin took a deep breath, and the origin energy inside his body reached a peak. A ball of flames lit up in his left eye, and his right eye contained a blue ball of thunder. Then his origin soul flew out from between his eyebrows. The ancient thunder dragon's roar that could control all thunder echoed inside the pit. At this moment, the way Wang Lin saw the world changed drastically. The like button for the video has dropped to 5th place. Tears brimming and wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1039. Lu Mei 1. The world changed. Even though this was the Celestial Emperor Cave, it couldn't stop Wang Lin's gaze. Flames surged in his left eye and thunder flashed in his right eye. At this instant, the world before Wang Lin was completely different from before. The deep pit before him slowly became transparent until it disappeared completely. What appeared before Wang Lin were these black lines that intersected with each other. These black lines filled the world. This deep pit was obviously formed by these lines. When Wang Lin saw this, he was dumbfounded for a moment. He slowly turned around and looked at another place. As his eyes moved, the walls on the sides disappeared and turned into a myriad of intersecting lines. Staring at these disorderly lines, Wang Lin suddenly had an impulse. He raised his hand and reached at the lines. However, at this moment, a powerful force came from the lines that dispersed Wang Lin's force. Wang Lin's hand bounced off, and a powerful rebound force arrived. With a bang, Wang Lin was forced back several steps before he stopped. There was no frustration on his face, but instead enlightenment. He took a deep breath and jumped out of the deep pit. He looked around and found that all the buildings looked very different now. Those buildings and flowers all disintegrated when his gaze fell on them. They turned into various colored lines that intersected with each other. This entire world seemed to have undergone a great change. No wonder people like Bei Lu could easily travel within the realms inside the bottle, presumably, if Sichu Nan wanted. He could do it as well. Even Master Hollow Wind could break one realm in the bottle world. If I went back into the bottle world, even though I'm not confident in moving through all 99 realms, I would certainly be able to break several realms at a time. Those Nirvana Cleanser old monsters could see laws. They also could control law, so they could naturally move through the realms. I wanted to take the line, but I was rebounded by a powerful force because I hadn't reached the Nirvana Cleanser stage, yet I haven't mastered controlling law. Wang Lin looked at his surroundings, and enlightenment filled his eyes. Even those invisible restrictions clearly appeared before Wang Lin. When Wang Lin saw this, he had a thought, and the heaven-defying bead began to move on its own. A fist-sized vortex formed between Wang Lin's eyebrows. The heaven-defying bed slowly came out of the vortex and floated before Wang Lin. There were twisted ripples around the heaven-defying bead. It was as if it didn't belong here and was being rejected. At this instant, Wang Lin's mind combined with the heaven-defying bead. He felt a thunderous rumble in his head, and his vision blurred. It was as if a powerful force had taken his mind and broken through all the obstacles in the cave to go up directly into the sky. At this moment, a ray of light shot out from center of the demon spirit land and went off into the horizon. Wang Lin saw the sky. The blue sky instantly turned into long blue lines that intersected with each other. He saw white clouds, the earth, the plants on the ground, and the countless residences of the demon spirit land. He also saw the rivers and the mountains. With the mysterious power of the heaven-defying bead, Wang Lin's mind spread out across the world and saw all the laws of the world. Everything before him was law, and those colorful lines were a way of seeing laws. As he continued to look, Wang Lin seemed to turn into a breeze, and he swept through the demon spirit land. Then he charged directly toward the sky, while being surrounded by the mysterious power of the heaven-defying bead. Another thunderous rumble echoed inside his mind as he pierced through the demon spirit land with the help of the heaven-defying bead. It was something countless cultivators, even people like the All-Seer, couldn't open by force. It was as if nothing could obstruct his mind and the heaven-defying bead, and nothing dared to obstruct them. Wang Lin saw dark space before him. Countless specks of dust-filled space, as well as the dazzling nebula. Wang Lin was immersed in this enlightened state as he looked among the stars and felt the laws within this universe. Those dazzling planets in the distance, the flying meteorites, and pieces of dust all appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. Law, everything in this world contained law. After his mind was merged with the stars, Wang Lin continued to be enlightened. As this continued, his mind grew and continued to spread. The speed at which his mind spread was not something divine sense could compare to. It was just like when Wang Lin stood before the gate in the heaven-defying bead, where he took that half step and seemed to become one with the void. This time, Wang Lin wandered among the stars and experienced the feeling of seeking Tao once more. However, this time he was seeking law. As his mind spread endlessly, it swept by planets one by one. His heart was calm, and as he was completely immersed within this, he was ignorant of his current state. Every planet he swept by, every single life form, including mortals, cultivators, animals, and even plants, were clearly seen by Wang Lin. The countless laws of the world turned into lines and were observed by Wang Lin as his mind passed. None of the cultivators on those planets noticed Wang Lin's mind passing by, not even the cultivators at the Nirvana Scryer and Nirvana Cleanser stages. After all, Wang Lin was being protected by the heaven-defying bead. If he didn't want people to know about his existence, then no one would, not even Nirvana Shatterer cultivators. As his mind spread with the demon spirit land as the center, it was as if time seemed to last forever. It was unknown how much time had passed, but Wang Lin's mind had covered a good portion of the alliance. He didn't stop there. While gaining enlightenment, he spread his mind even more with the power of the heaven-defying bead. He spread it farther, wider, and deeper. He saw too many cultivators and countless fierce beasts he had never seen. He even spotted some people he knew in the past. These people didn't make Wang Lin stop. The current him was immersed in a strange state where he was comprehending the laws like crazy. As his mind grew like crazy, his cultivation level was also reaching a peak. Reaching the peak of the late stage of Nirvana Scryer wasn't hard for most late-stage Nirvana Scryer cultivators. As long as they saw enough laws, they would naturally reach the peak of the late stage. However, this was a long process, because only after experiencing far too much and seeing everything could one succeed. No one could be like Wang Lin, where his mind could spread across a majority of the Alliance star system with the help of the heaven-defying bead to see all the different laws. Wang Lin's mind continued to spread, and he saw a sea of flames closing in. There was a giant vermilion bird emitting extreme heat at the front of the sea of flames. Large amounts of cracks appeared in the space where the vermilion bird passed. It looked as if they could collapse from a simple touch. All the meteorites that closed in on the vermilion bird would be burned to dust. If it wasn't for the fact that the vermilion bird avoided cultivation planets, then far too many planets would have collapsed along the way. Rays of flames followed the vermilion bird. There were cultivators in red inside each ray of flame. There were men and women among them, along with 6 elders that emitted a terrifying aura in the front. From a distance, it looked like there were no less than 1,000 cultivators behind the vermilion bird, and none of their cultivation levels were low. These people moved quickly behind the vermilion bird. The vermilion bird made Wang Lin feel familiar. The moment his mind passed by, the vermilion bird's fiery eyes lit up and its body trembled. A mighty cry of the vermilion bird immediately echoed. After Wang Lin's mind passed, confusion filled the giant vermilion bird. The vermilion bird wasn't the only one confused. The cultivators behind it were confused as well, especially the 6 elders. They all looked at each other with surprise. They didn't know why the vermilion bird's spirit would release a cry. No matter how much they pondered, they couldn't think of an answer. Wang Lin's mind continued to spread. At the center of the alliance, there was a star field filled with dark purple meteorites. Within the depths of his star field lied another world. An extremely large circular building floated among the stars, and it was surrounded by no less than 100 smaller buildings. Bursts of black lightning constantly flashed, giving off a strange pressure. This was the entrance to the Cultivation Alliance. Only by going through here could one reach the headquarters of the Cultivation Alliance. Wang Lin's mind arrived at this strange place. His mind even penetrated the entrance and arrived at the Alliance's headquarters. The Alliance's headquarters was in its own separate realm. It used to belong to the Rain Celestial Realm, but it was later found and occupied by the Cultivation Alliance. 173 giant cultivation planets formed the headquarter of the Cultivation Alliance. 172 planets were arranged in a circle, and they weren't static. They were slowly moving. From a distance, the Alliance headquarters looked like a miniature Alliance star system. Countless cultivators moved around, but strangely, there were no sound. At the center of this ring of planets was a giant vortex. This vortex was purple, and would cause anyone who looked at it to tremble. Very few people knew exactly what was inside the vortex. Above the vortex was the last of the 173 planets. It didn't move, but floated above the vortex and absorbed the purple gas released by the vortex. This vortex was simply too big. A cultivator would be like an ant compared to it. In fact, the cultivator would be smaller than an ant and be impossible to see. Even the last cultivation planet seemed truly insignificant compared to the vortex. Forgot to mention, at the end of the month, wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1040. Liu Mei, 2. Inside a secret room within the planet above the vortex sat a middle-aged man. He was extremely handsome and had the aura of a celestial. Aside from a fist-sized bronze bell, there was nothing else inside this secret room. Wang Lin's mind swept by the secret room. The man inside remained unmoved, as if he didn't notice anything, but the bell immediately let out a crisp sound. The man suddenly opened his eyes and two crazed gazes appeared. By the time this happened, Wang Lin's mind had already left. In the northern region of the Alliance star system, tens of thousands of Alheaven cultivators were fighting against the Alliance. Master Flamespark and company were among them. The Alliance also had some powerful cultivators. The two sides had just begun their battle, but the casualties were already countless. Wang Lin's mind swept by. He saw everything, but he didn't stop for even a moment and continued to move. No one knew of his arrival, and no one detected his exit. Wang Lin's mind silently left this endless bloodshed and slaughter. None of these things were able to make him stop. He continued his comprehension, and his cultivation approached the peak. He was finishing something that took others countless years to complete. His mind continued to spread until it reached an extremely secretive region in the Alliance. There was a yellow planet here that was filled with death and had no traces of life. Even spiritual energy was extremely rare here. There was not a single cultivator within millions of kilometers of this planet. It was as if this was a forbidden zone. Even when Wang Lin's mind arrived, there seemed to be some interference. When his mind swept past the yellow planet, his mind immediately entered the inner part of the planet, and there was something else inside. There was a transfer array inside this planet. This array was huge, and on the other side of the transfer array was the only rank cultivation country of the Alliance, Brilliant Void Realm. It was the only rank 9 country in the Alliance, and it was very mysterious. The entire Brilliant Void Realm was not a cultivation planet but a huge continent that was like a world of its own. This was the holy land of a majority of the cultivators here. Wang Lin's mind entered the Brilliant Void Realm that very few cultivators were qualified to enter. Deep within the Brilliant Void Realm sat an old man. He was cultivating next to a slope when he suddenly opened his eyes and looked into the distance. Which fellow cultivator has come to my Brilliant Void Realm? Please show yourself. The old man was the first person who had noticed Wang Lin's presence. Although his voice was calm, it was filled with endless power of law. It was as if the law around this old man would change as he pleased. However, this person's words weren't able to awaken Wang Lin from his strange state. Wang Lin's mind swept past the Brilliant Void Realm, but before he could see it all, his mind was startled. He saw 2 women. One of the women was sitting at the top of a mountain. She was not an absolute beauty, but she was still beautiful. She wore a blue dress, and it flowed in the wind as the mountain wind blew. She gave off the sense of a celestial beauty. However, there was a hint of bitterness in her eyes as she looked ahead with a hint of reminiscence in her eyes. Beside her was a large tiger. This tiger was completely black and gave off a fierce aura. He raised his head and looked ahead along with the woman. However, this tiger's gaze often shifted toward the dense jungle below the mountain. The figures of a few female tigers caught his attention. His eyes were filled with excitement, as if he wished he could immediately jump down into the jungle below. When can I leave here? The woman bitterly muttered as she raised her head as if she was talking to the tiger. When your cultivation level is high enough, I'll let you leave. A cold voice came from behind the woman. After hearing this voice, the woman immediately stood up. Even the tiger trembled, and quickly withdrew his gaze from the female tigers in the jungle below. Along with the voice came a woman. She was wearing an elegant, blue dress, and her appearance was impossible to describe. It was as if all the stars would be bleak when compared to her. Her beauty stirred one's heart. Everyone, even powerful cultivators, would be shocked by her beauty. If she was called the #1 beauty in the alliance, no one would object. However, the aura below the beauty was so cold that it made it impossible to get close to her, as if she was an iceberg. Perhaps there was nothing in this world that could melt her coldness. There was a very noble aura coming from within this coldness. It was a sense of pride, as if she was always the focus of attention and had the highest status. The pretty woman quickly said, "Joru greets master." The incomparably beautiful woman in the elegant blue dress that could compete with the sun and moon still had a cold expression that never changed as she looked at Joru, and she was about to speak. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin's mind arrived, and he saw these two women. His mind, which never stopped, even after everything he had experienced so far, came to a crashing halt. This halt caused a powerful shock to erupt from Wang Lin's mind, causing him to awaken from that mysterious state. It was all of this was because of these two women. Perhaps others may not recognize that beautiful woman, but the moment Wang Lin saw her, an indescribable sense of bitterness filled his heart. How could he not recognize her? Wang Ping was still inside the heaven-defying bead. How could Wang Lin forget that vicious and heinous woman? He wanted to forget, but there were some pains in life he simply couldn't forget. Seeing this woman and Joru caused Wang Lin to awaken from his special state. The moment he awakened, the expression of the cold and beautiful woman changed tremendously. Her coldness instantly collapsed, and she suddenly raised her head to look at the sky. She felt like she had spotted the phantom of a person she had engraved deep within her memories. Lu Mei at that instant, it was as if a vague voice had appeared from the void and entered the ears of this beautiful woman. This caused her body to tremble, and she subconsciously retreated a few steps. The moment Wang Lin awakened, his mind was pulled back by the heaven-defying bead at a speed countless times faster than before. In the blink of an eye, he was pulled out of the brilliant void realm. It was a circle that was rapidly contracting. In an instant, he swept by every place he had been to. The old man in the brilliant void realm that noticed Wang Lin stared at the sky and began to ponder. The fighting in the northern region was still intense. The moment Wang Lin's mind contracted, the expressions of Master Flamespark and company changed greatly. "Wang Lin!" Master Flamespark revealed a look of disbelief. It was very rare to see from Master Flamespark. Not only him, but everyone who knew Wang Lin was terrified by this. Cultivation Alliance headquarters, the floating planet above the vortex. Inside the secret room, the middle-aged man suddenly opened his eyes, and his eyes were filled with shock. Who is he? There was also the vermilion bird inside the sea of flames. It let out another vermilion bird cry and moved even faster. Among the stars, there was a thin figure wearing green. This person had an indifferent expression. He was walking through the stars, and his target was the Cultivation Alliance's headquarters. Behind him were countless bloody skulls, and the smell of blood filled the area. As he walked, his eyes lit up and he looked into the distance. His expression softened, and he revealed a smile of admiration. Wang Lin, that child's cultivation has broken through. This aura should be the heaven-defying bead. He was able to use the heaven-defying bead to comprehend law. With this, I can relax and take this trip to Alliance's headquarters with no regrets. I will go to the Cultivation Alliance's headquarters and find the secret behind the collapse of the celestial realm. Then I'll find the true cause of my madness. Wang Lin's mind contracted like crazy. It only took a moment for it all to return. It was as if everything that had happened had reversed. He returned back to the demon spirit land, to the celestial emperor cave, and back into his body. Wang Lin's body trembled as if his soul had returned. What appeared before him was the floating heaven-defying bead. The heaven-defying bead slowly floated toward Wang Lin and disappeared between his eyebrows. While pondering, Wang Lin slowly closed his eyes, and a peak nirvana scryer aura erupted from his body. Along the way, Wang Lin had seen many laws, so he had reached the peak of the nirvana scryer stage. After a long time, Wang Lin slowly opened his eyes. He looked up at the sky with a complex and cold gaze. With the help of the heaven-defying bead, he had seen too much. However, the figure of that woman he saw at the end disrupted his calm heart. The Liu Mei, from back then, must have been her avatar. I forgot to say, the latest 3 chapters are all 4,000-word major chapters. Is Leo that kind? So this is the moon god. Is it the like button for the VIDEO? Do you all also start the VIDEO? Chapter 1041. Inside the deep pit. And also, Zhou Ru, she unexpectedly became Liu Mei's disciple. There must be some secret behind this. Liu Mei is far too cunning. After pondering for a long time, Wang Lin suppressed the complex feelings he had from seeing Liu Mei. He withdrew his gaze from the sky and felt the powerful origin energy throughout his body. Peak of Nirvana Scryer. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. It was useless to think about other things. He was still inside the Celestial Emperor cave, so he needed to solve the immediate problem first. Everything in this world contains law. The sky, the earth, the 5 elements, everything contains its own law. If one wants to understand them all, it would take far too much time. The power of a person is limited, so it would be impossible to grasp everything. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he pondered. So the Nirvana Cleanser and even those old Nirvana Shatterer monsters often have a law they are most proficient in. For example, Master Flamespark is most proficient in the law of fire. While Wang Lin pondered, thunder shot out from his right eye. The thunder rumbled out from Wang Lin's right eye and formed a bright ball of thunder. There was a vague phantom inside the ball of thunder. It looked exactly like Wang Lin's ancient Thunder Dragon origin soul. It seemed like a phantom of it had appeared inside the ball of thunder. Wang Lin stared at the ball of thunder until the way he saw it vaguely changed. However, it didn't turn into lines like everything else. Although it became more transparent, no laws appeared within it. I only obtained half of the ancient Thunder Dragon and half of it disappeared into the tide abyss. As a result, the power of thunder is incomplete, and even the law within is imperfect. After pondering for a while, Wang Lin squeezed the air and the ball of thunder scattered into countless bolts of thunder. At this moment, flames came out of Wang Lin's left eye, forming a sea of flames. There was the phantom of a vermilion bird within the sea of flames. Wang Lin looked closely, and then the vermilion bird turned transparent. The endless sea of flames turned into red lines that Wang Lin could see clearly. According to my understanding of cultivation, to reach the Nirvana Cleanser stage, I must completely master one of these laws. Then I can use this law to absorb origin energy from the world and make it so the origin energy in my body never runs out. The strength of Nirvana Cleanser cultivators is greatly related to the law they choose. Wang Lin waved his hand and scattered the sea of flames. Then his eyes returned to normal. The laws I am the most familiar with are thunder and fire. However, I just obtained fire and am not yet familiar enough with it. I need to comprehend it more before I can use it to break through to the Nirvana Cleanser stage. However, breaking through like this will cause me to lose the power of thunder. If I have to give that up to reach the Nirvana Cleanser stage, there will be regrets. If I can fuse fire and thunder and use that to reach Nirvana Cleanser stage, that power should be really strong. Wang Lin moved while pondering and stepped into the deep pit. He directly went into the cave and arrived next to his original body. The woman in silver was still guarding on the side. When she saw Wang Lin's avatar, her expression didn't change. Wang Lin ignored her and fused with his original body. A moment later, Wang Lin slowly opened his eyes, and the killing aura withdrew as he returned to his normal self. His eyes lit up and he stood up. The vermilion bird I saw when I borrowed the heaven-defying bead's power was exactly the same as my tattoo. I believe there is a connection. Wang Lin walked out of the fractured cave. The woman in silver silently followed, and her gaze fell on Wang Lin's back. There was a trace of confusion in her eyes. Just as he walked out from the cave, Wang Lin immediately retreated a step and exclaimed. A ray of ghostly light came from the deep pit. It moved in a line and headed straight for Wang Lin. The moment Wang Lin retreated, it arrived near him. It had slightly messy black feathers, but its eyes were still filled with intelligence. It was the star-marked sable. The sable looked very adorable. When it got close, it hung onto Wang Lin's clothes with its mouth and swung around like a swing. It also released crisp cries as it did so. After swinging around a few times, the star-marked sable borrowed the swinging force to land on Wang Lin's shoulder. It wiped its face with its claws a few times before moving closer to Wang Lin's neck and sniffing constantly. The star-marked sable liked the aura of an ancient god the most. During the time when ancient gods were still around, the star-marked sable was one of the few spirit beasts the ancient gods really liked. Wang Lin had memories of this from his inheritance. The ancient god's aura was very beneficial to the star-marked sable. If they stayed around an ancient god long enough, then it would greatly reduce their growth period. It would also cause the star-marked sable to undergo metamorphosis. Even during ancient times, a star-marked sable was a powerful ally for an ancient god once it went through metamorphosis. However, it was very difficult for a star-marked sable to undergo metamorphosis. It would require them to absorb the aura of an ancient god for a very long time. Remembering what the star-marked sable looked like after it had gone through metamorphosis from Tisu's memories made Wang Lin reveal a strange expression. After looking at the star-marked sable on his shoulder, that strange expression became even stronger. In Tusi's memories, every ancient god with a star-marked sable that had undergone metamorphosis cherished them greatly. They treated the sable like a treasure, and wouldn't allow anyone to hurt it. They would become furious if an outsider even touched the sable. As the sable sniffed Wang Lin's aura, its intelligent eyes were filled with excitement. It decided to simply lie on Wang Lin's shoulder. Wang Lin raised his hand and grabbed the small sable from his shoulder. The small sable seemed very dissatisfied, and his claw grabbed hold of Wang Lin's cloth. It roared at Wang Lin as if it was brooding from having to leave Wang Lin's shoulder. Wang Lin held the star-marked sable before his face and took a closer look. He had seen this sable hundreds of years ago when he first arrived on planet Tianyun, and he had taken a liking to it back then. He never would have thought the sable would come to him hundreds of years later. This sable was very exquisite, and its intelligent eyes looked at Wang Lin while Wang Lin looked at it. After a long time, the sable grew impatient. Wang Lin revealed a smile and let go of his hand. The small sable immediately returned to Wang Lin's shoulder. It sniffed around and looked very comfortable. No longer paying any more attention to the small sable, Wang Lin was about to leave here. He was going to explore the Celestial Emperor Cave using the map in the jade. However, just as he stepped out, the star-marked sable immediately looked down into the deep pit. Its eyes lit up, then it flew out and roared a few times at Wang Lin before it flew down into the pit. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he looked down at the deep pit. After pondering a bit, he descended along with the star-marked sable. Star-marked sables like the aura of ancient gods the most. Could it be that there is something that belonged to an ancient god down buried under the celestial burial pool? Wang Lin immediately thought of the red tendon that trapped the Tattoo Clan holy ancestor. This pit seemed bottomless. No matter how much Wang Lin descended, it seemed like he was no closer to the end. The cold energy coming from the bottom became even more intense until a layer of frost appeared on the walls of the pit. It was as if there was an endless abyss down there. Although Wang Lin looked calm, he was extremely cautious. The star-marked sable was obviously very familiar with this place and had long disappeared. The deeper he went, the colder it became. Every time he exhaled, it looked like gas dragons were rushing out of his nose. The surrounding walls were covered in ice. Sharp icicles were sticking out from the side of the wall in a ring formation. Wang Lin controlled his descending speed. After an unknown amount of time, the star-marked sable flew out like a ray of ghostly light and landed on the ice. It jumped off it and landed on Wang Lin's shoulder. Slivers of cold energy came from the star-marked sable, but none of this caught Wang Lin's attention. Right now, his eyes were locked on the thing below. When the star-marked sable closed in, Wang Lin vaguely felt a gaze that pierced through all obstacles and landed on him. Wang Lin stared at the bottom and remained motionless. After a long time, his origin energy began to move, and two balls of flames appeared in his eyes. The flames came out of his eyes and turned into a sea of flames spreading downwards. Borrowing the light from the sea of flames, even the darkness that his divine sense couldn't penetrate scattered a bit. Wang Lin descended downwards. That gaze made a big doubt appear in his heart, and he vaguely had some speculations. As he descended, there was more and more ice around. After 7 minutes, Wang Lin was at the bottom of the pit. At this point, he could clearly see everything below him, and it was a world of ice. Large ice blocks surrounded the area, making this palisade look extremely dangerous. There was a lifelike corpse inside each ice block. Their bodies were frozen right before they died. This quiet, deep pit where no one could reach caused a chill to arise in Wang Lin's heart. The people inside the ice weren't tea enough to shock Wang Lin. What really shocked him was the existence deeper down. It was sealed by all the surrounding ice, leaving only some small gaps. This was the source of that gaze. Wang Lin clearly saw what was below through the gaps in the glacier. At this moment, his pupils suddenly shrank. Below the gaps between the glaciers, down in the depths of the pit, there was something thousands of feet tall. This giant thing was a skull. The skull of an ancient god. The skull was frozen, but its expression was clear. The eyes, which weren't closed, were filled with regret and anger. The gaze Wang Lin felt earlier came from this skull. Although countless years had passed and the ancient god was already dead, and without a trace of any ancient god power left. His gaze before he died was still so lifelike that it would startle anyone who saw it. Only traces of 8 broken stars remained. It's been a long time since wishing for likes on the VIDEO. The little pig wishing for the like button for the VIDEO support. Chapter 1042, Iron Sword. Looking at the ancient god head filled with regret and anger, Wang Lin silently pondered. After experiencing so much, Wang Lin understood that the ancient gods weren't and eternal existences among the stars. However, they were the strongest clan. The ancient god clan from back then was almost extinct. Wang Lin didn't believe that it was due to cultivators. Even the powerful Thunder Celestial Realm had to use so much power to fight a weak 8-star ancient god. Only with countless celestials attacking did they manage to win with heavy losses. What kind of power could still cut off the head of this ancient god after he had shattered all 8 stars? Although shattering 8 stars at once wasn't enough to reach the power of a 9-star ancient god, it was still enough to destroy the heavens and earth. While pondering, Wang Lin slowly descended and arrived next to a block of ice that was blocking the way. Origin energy surged out from his arm and into the ice. In an instant, fire appeared on the edge of the ice and even inside it. In an instant, the ice turned into white mists and floated up into the sky. The celestial corpses were immediately turned to dust by the flames and scattered. After opening a passage, Wang Lin closed in on the giant ancient godhead. While he examined the head up close, the pressure of facing a real 8-star ancient god suddenly pressed down. After letting out a sigh, Wang Lin slowly descended down the ancient god head to where it was cut off. The ancient god head was wrapped in a thick layer of ice. The cut on the neck was extremely clean and smooth. Staring at the neck of the ancient god, while his expression remained calm, his pupils shrank and shock filled his heart. From the looks of this wound, this ancient god had his head cut off in an instant. There was no pause and it was an extremely clean cut. The meaning of this wound made Wang Lin's scalp tingle. He couldn't imagine who had the power to cut off an ancient goddess head clean off with one spell. Could it have been Qing Lin? Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He was aghast at the situation. If Qing Lin had this kind of power, he was far too strong and already surpassed Wang Lin's imagination. Wang Lin's expression became gloomy as his divine sense carefully spread out around the head. After a scan, he found nothing abnormal and began to carefully examine the wound. After a long time, Wang Lin exclaimed. He moved closer to the ice, and his eyes were like lightning as he stared at the wound. Deep within the edge of the wound, there were some dark red crystal particles. If one didn't look carefully, it was easy to confuse it with clogged blood. This is Wang Lin silently pondered as he raised his hand and placed it on the ice. He carefully spread out his origin energy and filled his right hand with it. Large amounts of white mist appeared under his right hand. He carefully controlled his origin energy to melt a hole in the ice. This gap was like a tunnel that extended to the wound on the ancient goddess' neck. Wang Lin then created a suction force to pull one of the crystal particles into his hand. His fingers held the dark red crystal particles, and his divine sense slowly scanned it. As he carefully observed, Wang Lin was gradually able to see an invisible energy inside. This energy seemed to be slowly moving within the crystal and could dissipate at any time. Wang Lin's divine sense surrounded the invisible energy, and after pondering a bit, his divine sense moved toward the invisible energy to investigate. However, just as his divine sense entered, he suddenly felt an indescribable pressure coming from the invisible energy. It was as if Wang Lin had left this world. The entire universe was dark, and only the pressure from this invisible energy existed. This aura was so strong that just a small sliver had made Wang Lin gasp and almost subconsciously retreat. However, he forced himself to hold on and began to carefully observe it. The more he observed, the more he frowned. Even after over 1,000 years of cultivation, he had never encountered such a strange invisible energy. This wasn't celestial spiritual energy or spiritual energy. It didn't even have the slightest connection to origin energy. However, when he carefully observed it, he could see that it contained celestial spiritual energy, and origin energy, along with another energy he wasn't able to understand. It was a pile of things thrown together, yet they were perfectly combined, which caused Wang Lin a lot of confusion. What terrified Wang Lin even more was that even within this small trace of energy, there was law. It was this law that made Wang Lin's scalp tingle. There wasn't just one law, but countless laws. Almost all the countless laws Wang Lin had seen with the help of the heaven-defying bead was inside. There were many laws Wang Lin hadn't seen within it as well. Wang Lin carefully withdrew his divine sense. His face was somewhat pale as he stared at the crystal. At this moment, he felt like he wasn't holding an insignificant crystal particle but a powerful bomb. It was this power that cut the head of the ancient god, and it was not Qing Lin who possessed this power. Wang Lin stared at the crystal in his hand and thought back to planet Suzaku, when he fought against the heavens to save Li Muan. The messenger of the heavens was unexpectedly an ancient god with his stars sealed. At that time, although Wang Lin was shocked, his cultivation level was too low to comprehend it. Thinking about it now, it wasn't just shocking, there was a heaven-shattering secret behind this. What kind of power could seal an ancient god and control him to become a messenger of the heavens? The answer came out almost immediately. Heaven's Tao. Wang Lin stared at the crystal in his hand. The moment he felt this invisible energy, his intuition told him that it was related to the seal on the ancient god who was the messenger of the heavens. However, the Heaven's Tao was an ethereal thing, so how could it do all of this? Wang Lin silently pondered and recalled what ancient demon Bei Lu had said about the ancient order's secret and how they defied the heavens. Closing his eyes, an image seemed to appear within Wang Lin's mind. An 8-star ancient god was rampaging across the endless stars, but at this moment, an indescribable force descended from the heavens. In order to resist, the 8-star ancient god shattered all his stars, but his head was still cut off. Then the head was obtained by the celestial realm and placed here for an unknown reason. The force that cut the head off this ancient god didn't dissipate with time. Instead, it became these crystals. Wang Lin didn't know if any of this was true or false. He merely speculated from what he knew. He opened his eyes. After pondering a bit, he carefully put the crystal into his bag. There were still some crystals in the neck inside the ice. Wang Lin carefully pulled the crystals out and put them inside his bag. He was very careful during this entire process and pulled them one by one. Including the previous one, there was a total of 23. After doing all of this, Wang Lin stared at the wound at the ancient god's neck. There were no more crystals remaining. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin was about to leave, but his eyes suddenly narrowed and he stared into the wound on the neck. For a moment he felt there was a red flash. His divine sense spread out but found nothing. After pondering a bit, origin energy filled Wang Lin's right hand and the fire origin energy reached the ice. There were some cracking sounds as his origin energy tunneled through the ice and spread toward it. As the tunnel extended forward, Wang Lin stared forward without blinking. Soon the tunnel extended deep into the ice block. At this instant, Wang Lin saw the thing that caused the red flash. It was an iron sword that was covered by countless red lines. These red lines were moving and entangled around the sword. This iron sword looked very ordinary. There was nothing abnormal about it. However, when Wang Lin saw the iron sword, he immediately felt like it was very familiar, as if he had seen something like it before. Before he could remember where he had seen this iron sword, he immediately felt a terrifying danger from the red lines around the iron sword. Wang Lin's expression changed. When his divine sense swept by with the ice in the way, he couldn't see the iron sword or the red lines. However, now that the ice had melted, they appeared clearly before his eyes. Due to caution, Wang Lin's divine sense slowly spread out, and again he couldn't detect the iron sword or red lines. It was the same as before, and there was no abnormality with the head. However, he could clearly see the iron sword and red lines with his eyes, which made Wang Lin extremely vigilant. Wang Lin calmly retreated. The iron sword and the red lines around it were too strange. It was best not to mess with them. While he retreated, his eyes were still on the iron sword. There was some rust on the iron sword, as if it was a mortal object. Very familiar. Wang Lin suddenly stopped and felt as if a bolt of thunder had exploded in his mind. His eyes suddenly widened as he stared at the iron sword and sucked in a breath of cold air. He remembered. Back on planet Suzaku, inside the Suzaku tomb, he saw the same iron sword, only the rust markings on it were different. That iron sword was taken by Tuosen as messenger. The ecstasy on the messenger's face was something Wang Lin clearly remembered even now. The year of the dragon is approaching. Leo's year is coming fast, fervently shouting for the like button for the VIDEO, wishing to be drowned in happiness by the likes for the VIDEO. Chapter 1043. Obtaining the sword through danger. The moment Wang Lin recognized the iron sword, he stopped moving and revealed a hint of hesitation. After cultivating to this point, Wang Lin knew that his memory inheritance was incomplete and was missing an extremely important part. It was likely that the information about this iron sword was recorded there. That memory was in Tuo Senna's hands, so perhaps he knew the origin of the iron sword. However, an iron sword that would even make Tuo Sen reveal ecstasy couldn't be simple. Although it wasn't the same iron sword as before, it looked exactly the same. Should I take it? Wang Lin hesitated as he moved his gaze from the iron sword to the red lines. A terrifying aura came from the red lines, giving Wang Lin a constant sense of crisis. Wang Lin didn't know what the red lines were, but he could clearly feel their terrifying power. If he were to leave now, he would not arouse the attention of the red lines and would move on safely. However, if he were to take the iron sword from them, then it was likely the red lines would attack him. Given Wang Lin's personality, he would naturally not risk it against the unknown. However, the iron sword before him tempted him greatly. After struggling for a moment, Wang Lin revealed a decisive gaze. Wealth was obtained in danger. If he were to leave now, although he'd be safe, he would miss out on this iron sword. Moreover, this was the Celestial Emperor Cave. If he didn't take it now, it might be very difficult to return here later. Wang Lin was unwilling to leave empty-handed after encountering a treasure. After making a decision, Wang Lin looked up the pit. From here, he could see that the top was sealed by ice glaciers that were densely packed together, leaving only few small, twisted paths for people to pass through. After calculating the distance, he descended and thought for a moment. Then he suddenly jerked his head and stared at the iron sword deep inside the ice. He clenched his teeth, his hands formed a seal, and flames appeared in his eyes. At this moment, his full-peak Nirvana Scryer cultivation exploded. The 5 stars between his eyebrows appeared and rotated rapidly, and popping sounds came from his body. The ancient god power entered his limbs and he mercilessly clenched his fist. Feeling as if he controlled the heavens, Wang Lin no longer hesitated. His right arm extended out. At this instant, the flames in his eyes shot out and his origin energy gathered in his right hand. As he reached out, a monstrous sea of flames appeared before his right hand. The right hand formed a seal and the sea of flames shot toward the head. The flames covered the head, and the ice immediately began to melt on a massive scale. Flames immediately entered the tunnel in the ice near the wound made by Wang Lin earlier. The flames instantly arrived near the iron sword. The red lines immediately shook and stretched straight. Large amounts of branches extended from the red lines, and they sprayed a large amount of red mist at the flames. There was a heaven-shaking bang as the sea of flames was extinguished by the red mist and pushed back. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he didn't hesitate to spit out a mouthful of essence origin energy. After the essence origin energy appeared, it was like pouring oil into fire. Large amounts of cracks appeared in the ice, and then the ice suddenly collapsed. Countless burning ice shards scattered in all directions and collided with the ice blocks nearby. Now that the ice was gone, the ancient godhead appeared clearly before Wang Lin. It had been in the ice for so long that the moment the ice was gone, the ancient godhead began to rot. At the same time, the smell of rotting flesh filled the area. The ancient godhead rapidly decayed and soon became a giant skull. This skull was completely black, and there was an impressive red mist inside the skull that was constantly swaying. The red line's origin was inside this red mist, and some of the lines were still wrapped around the iron sword. The moment the ice collapsed, Wang Lin turned into a shadow and rushed in. He directly grabbed the iron sword. The moment he grabbed the iron sword, the origin energy inside his body surged out without hesitation. The origin energy immediately turned into a sea of flames around him. The flames also went into the iron sword and immediately surrounded the red lines that were wrapped around the iron sword. At the same time, Wang Lin's left hand formed a fist and his ancient god power filled his left hand. He immediately threw a punch. As he punched, the ancient god phantom appeared behind him and also threw a punch. A few of the red lines around the iron sword immediately shattered when they were hit by the ancient god punch and the sea of flames. The other lines also retracted a bit. With a roar from Wang Lin, he pulled his right hand back and the iron sword escaped the entanglement of the red lines. Wang Lin truly held the sword in his hand now. There was a flash of light before it disappeared as Wang Lin placed it inside his bag. Wang Lin did all of this without hesitation. Then he kicked off and flew up toward the exit above. Wang Lin's ancient god punch and sea of flames landed on the red mist. The red mist suddenly expanded to collide with the sea of flames, then a thunderous rumble began to echo. The red mist completely disappeared, revealing a phantom inside. It was impossible to see if this phantom was male or female, and it was surrounded by countless red lines. The phantom slowly opened its eyes and coldly looked at the escaping Wang Lin before letting out an intimidating roar. As it roared, countless cracks appeared on the surrounding ice blocks. At this moment, all of the ice crumbled, and the corpses inside them seemed to become alive. They were each surrounded by a red glow. Pairs of red gazes appeared in this deep pit and locked onto Wang Lin, who was charging out of the pit. Roar! A roar like that of a fierce beast echoed within the pit. It was similar to the roar from the phantom. The roar echoed and formed a storm that swept upwards. Deep within the pit, the roar echoed violently. All of the celestial corpses that awakened charged at Wang Lin, who was below them. At this moment, Wang Lin was floating in the air, and the strange phantom below him charged at him. The red lines were all swaying. Just looked at them would give you a sense of strangeness. This strange phantom was half transparent, and it had no internal organs. There was just a red vortex inside its body. It was so fast that it closed in on Wang Lin in a flash. At this moment, there were countless corpses with red eyes above, and that strange phantom below. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he charged up without hesitation. The corpses weren't nimble. Although they were ferocious, they were not smart. Their cultivation levels were also limited, only around the yin and yang stage. Wang Lin's could see red lines flicker between their eyebrows with his peak nirvana scryer cultivation. This moment of crisis made it so Wang Lin couldn't think too much. Flying at full speed, he moved like a shadow and instantly crossed path with a few of the corpses coming at him. When they passed by, Wang Lin's right hand formed a sword and quickly pointed between the eyebrows of these corpses. Rumbling sounds echoed as the corpse caught on fire and became like fireballs. The red lines between their eyebrows slowly disappeared. Wang Lin continued to move forward without pausing. His peak nirvana scryer cultivation worked at its peak, and flames surrounded his body. Whenever he encountered a corpse, he would point at them. As the sea of flames rushed forward, the corpses were turned into burning corpses. They all shattered, and the red lines inside them were destroyed. As the phantom chased, its eyes became even colder, and it continued to roar. The lines from its body unexpectedly turned into swords that shot at Wang Lin at an even faster speed. Along the way, Wang Lin moved like water. After destroying dozens of corpses, there were still countless corpses above him. Below, the phantom was chasing like crazy, and those swords were closing in. Even Wang Lin felt his scalp tingle at all of this. As the swords closed in, Wang Lin's right eye flashed blue, and the azure light shield appeared to block the swords. Popping sounds echoed like thunderous roars. The azure light shield was pushed back toward Wang Lin. Seeing the phantom closing in, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a trace of madness, and his right hand formed a seal and he shouted, "Call the wind!" Black wind suddenly appeared from his right hand. This black wind wasn't as cold as before, but it contained a powerful heat. The black wind turned into 5 dragons, and upcharged upwards with a roar. These 5 black dragons were all covered in burning flames as if they became purple. As they charged upwards, thunderous rumbles echoed within the pit. This place was immediately filled with unimaginable heat. But this heat had no effect on Wang Lin. His eyes seemed to contain fire as he charged out. As the heat charged up, the 5 black flame dragon broke through with ease. All of the corpses were torn apart and devoured by them. All of the glaciers melted and waves of white gas floated upwards. Those corpses that jumped down attempting to stop Wang Lin collapsed under the attack of the 5 black flaming dragons. The 5 dragons charged up like crazy, and Wang Lin's speed reached its limit inside the flames. Wang Lin used his peak Nirvana Scryer cultivation and his ancient god body without holding back. The star-marked sable on his shoulder was clinging to his clothes with its cloth and holding on to Wang Lin's hair with its mouth. There was fear within its intelligent eyes. The flames continued to charge upward. It came faster and more fierce as it went out. Soon, they became a pillar of flames that pierced through the entire pit. The flames charged out from the pit like an erupting volcano. Wang Lin's body was surrounded by the 5 black flame dragons when he left the deep pit and suddenly looked down. 6,000 words in a major chapter, wishing for sharing, for likes on the video. Chapter 1044, Confusion. The phantom chased closely after Wang Lin. Its cold and ruthless eyes were locked onto Wang Lin as it charged upwards. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he raised his right hand and pointed downwards. The 5 black flame dragons suddenly let out roars and charged down into the deep pit. At this moment, it looked like the erupting volcano had suddenly reversed. The flames that erupted out were all surging back in. Dense heat waves charged down. The 5 black flame dragons charged into the pit in the blink of an eye. They rushed at the phantom and attempted to devour it. Boom! An earth-shattering sound echoed, and the entire cave and the earth shook violently. The 5 black flame dragons were like 5 bolts of black thunder. They exploded when they came in contact with the phantom, causing this unimaginable explosion. The thunderous rumble fused with its own echoes became the only sound that could be heard as it spread. Large amounts of rocks fell off the walls of the pit, making it seem as if the pit itself was collapsing. Flashes of flames and angry roars came from the pit. Wang Lin didn't examine the result of the fight. He raised his hand and used Summon the Rain. Raindrops suddenly appeared. The countless rain crystals floating around Wang Lin looked very beautiful. The drops of rain filled the entire cave and seemed to be everywhere. It made the entire cave feel really damp. They were also able to absorb traces of origin energy, causing each raindrop to become incredibly powerful. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. After the black flame dragons had charged down into the pit, Wang Lin's hand formed a seal, and he pointed down. All the raindrops began crashing down like meteors toward the collapsing pit. Rumble, 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 rumble. The violent rumbles reached a peak when Summon the Rain fell down into the pit. Each raindrop contained Wang Lin's origin energy, so they were extremely hot. When each drop landed on the rocks would turn red, and then be burned to ashes. Most of the rocks that fell off the pit were pierced by the raindrops. As a result, there were sizzling sounds and large amounts of gas. This seems like a lot, but it wasn't enough to show Wang Lin's current peak Nirvana Scryer cultivation. When he was at the mid-stage of Nirvana Scryer, his spells already contained a certain amount of power. Now that he had reached the peak of the Nirvana Scryer stage, he was able to reveal some of the true strength of the spells that Baifan loved to use. After he used Summon the Rain, the countless raindrops fell, causing the collapse of the pit to reach a limit. The endless rumbles continued as countless rocks fell in an attempt to fill in the pit. Along with Call the Wind, these 2 spells from Baifan went through a change. Wang Lin didn't have time to observe this change. After using Summon the Rain, he immediately charged toward the restriction in the palace. Earlier, Wang Lin had memorized the map. Not only did the map have details of the path to take, even the restrictions were marked. At this moment, there was a bamboo forest before Wang Lin. The bamboo forest looked very beautiful, but Wang Lin knew that there were tens of thousands of restrictions inside. If one of these restrictions were triggered, the rest would immediately activate and destroy anyone that entered. Wang Lin moved like lightning and charged into the bamboo forest. Just as he entered, there was a loud bang behind him. Shortly after, an angry roar echoed. The phantom had broken though everything Wang Lin had thrown at it and charged out from the deep pit. This phantom was still translucent, but a majority of the red lines around it had been broken. It looked like it was in a sorry state. It seemed Wang Lin's attack earlier had done a number on it. After charging out from the deep pit, It immediately saw Wang Lin closing in on the bamboo forest. Killing intent filled his eyes, and it let out a roar at Wang Lin. Roar! The roar shook the world, and some of the surrounding restrictions were triggered by this roar. However, before their full power could be displayed, they all shattered one by one. Even the ground began to crack like crazy, and a gust of wind charged into the high heavens. Twisted ripples appeared before this phantom along with the roar. It stepped into the ripples and then charged at Wang Lin like crazy. Even until now, Wang Lin didn't know what it was. Although it was human-shaped, it had a strange appearance, especially its eyes. If you looked at its eyes, you wouldn't think it was a person. Although Wang Lin was escaping, he had never lost track of this phantom with his divine sense. Wang Lin still hadn't seen this phantom use a spell. Even when it fired the red lines from its body, it was more of an instinctual move. The more he observed, the stranger he found it. What made him really worry was the fact this thing was living inside the head of the ancient god. Did it exist before the ancient god died, or did it enter after the ancient god died? If it entered after the ancient god died, then it wouldn't be much of an issue. But if it was there before, then was it related to the death of the star ancient god? Could the death of the 8-star ancient god not be related to the ethereal heavens Tao like I thought? Wang Lin knew that his speculation before was a bit absurd, so much so that even he wasn't sure. After seeing this humanoid phantom, he was even less sure of his previous speculation. What exactly happened back then? Who killed this 8-star ancient god and cut off the head? Why did the Celestials obtain this head? What made Wang Lin doubt himself even more was if the Celestials had the head, why didn't they notice the iron sword? Also, why didn't they take the iron sword? Many questions filled Wang Lin's head, but he had no time to think about it. The roar of the phantom was closing in. Wang Lin turned around and stared at the phantom that was rapidly closing in before he stepped into the bamboo forest. All of this was planned by Wang Lin. Even this bamboo forest was something Wang Lin had checked before in the map. The moment Wang Lin entered the bamboo forest, he suddenly disappeared. The humanoid phantom's roar echoed and charged at the bamboo forest. However, it suddenly stopped outside the bamboo forest. It coldly stared at the bamboo forest and revealed a hint of caution. However, a moment later the caution disappeared and was replaced with anxiety. It let out a few roars as it circled the bamboo forests. The red lines around it began to curve, then it stopped hesitating and charged into the bamboo forest. With a flash, that humanoid phantom disappeared. The moment it reappeared, there was a flash of light behind the bamboo forest, and Wang Lin stepped out. He carefully looked at where the humanoid phantom disappeared and then at the bamboo forest before he cautiously took a step to the side. With one step, his vision suddenly blurred. When he regained his vision, he had already exited this bamboo forest. Although it was difficult for Wang Lin to break the restrictions here with his current understanding of restrictions, he could enter some of the restrictions without activating them. This was all thanks to the information from the map. For example, the bamboo forest was like this. Although this bamboo forest is strong, that humanoid phantom is even stronger. This restriction probably won't be able to trap it for long. It is best I leave as soon as possible and enter the depths of this cave. Wang Lin looked ahead at the many pavilions before him. A dark fog shrouded the area. From afar, one could see the corner of a palace from within the dark fog. That was the center of this entire cave, but Wang Lin knew that it was only the entrance to the second floor. Before he saw the map, Wang Lin was somewhat confused by this cave and didn't know where to go. However, now, aside from the last few floors, he knew the structure of the entire cave. There was a total of 9 floors, and each floor had completely different architecture. The restrictions got stronger with each floor as well. The restrictions on the first floor were already not weak, but as one went deeper, the strength of the restrictions would reach a terrifying level. This is the real Celestial Emperor Cave. Originally, when you entered from the outside, you would be transferred here. However, the transfer earlier was interrupted by the scattered devil with the bottle, so everyone was transferred into the bottle world. After we left, he summoned the celestial burial pool and caused it collapse to scatter everyone once more. His purpose was to make us get lost within the Celestial Emperor Cave. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Although he had a map, it wasn't complete. It only contained the map for the first 7 floors. The last 2 floors seemed to have been wiped out of the jade by someone. Wang Lin had noticed this when he first obtained the jade, and after comparing it to the Celestial Emperor Cave, he was even more certain. While pondering, Wang Lin raised his foot and walked forward. After the bamboo forest there was a small paved road. It was paved with large pieces of celestial jade and gave off a gentle glow. Standing on the road, Wang Lin carefully looked at the black fog before him before he charged straight ahead. Nearly 3,800 words, already quite long. Day by day people say it's short, look at others. All are 2,000 words a chapter. Leo is that long, wouldn't you cast a like for Leo's video? Chapter 104, Calamity Morning. Final. Wang Lin had never felt something like this before. This was a pain that made him want to tear his own heart out. It was as if all of the blood in his body was instantly sucked out. Waves of dizziness hit his head. Wang Lin withstood this unexpected pain as he quickly ran. He turned away and saw that those three were still chasing him. His eyes turned cold as he changed his direction to the corpse sect gathering area. 4 beams of light quickly flew across Juming Valley. The only thoughts in Wang Hao and Wang Zhuo's minds were panic and helplessness. They didn't even dare to move as they watched Wang Tao and his sister die before them. The fairy-like cultivator revealed a complex look on his face. He sighed and turned around so he longer had to look at them. Teng Huayuan smiled as he walked into the house. He closed his hand. When he reopened it, a ring of purple light appeared, preventing people from leaving. Then he took a step and entered one of the side houses. This was where the servants lived. Waves of miserable screams came from the house and streams of yellow gas were collected by the flag. 7 or 8 painful-looking faces of the Wang family servants appeared on the flag. Teng Huayuan didn't stop as he walked into the next house and more screams followed. Wang Hao's body trembled. He wanted to resist, but was unable to say a word. Soon, all of the Wang family servants had been turned into ghosts and Teng Huayuan's face was very serious. The rest of the Wang family was alerted by the screams and tried to escape, but to their horror, they found a purple light preventing them from leaving. They could only hear the constant stream of miserable screams coming from outside. This kind of fear caused the entire Wang family to become unsettled. Teng Huayuan muttered to himself, that person killed you, so I'll kill his entire family to get revenge for you. With that, he stepped into another room. Wang Hao's body shook as if there was some power rushing out from inside him. He took a few steps forward and loudly shouted, "No." Teng Huayuan turned around and sneered. He waved his hand and that house turned to dust without a sound, revealing a man and woman whose faces were filled with fear. This man and woman were Wang Lin's third uncle and aunt, which were also Wang Hao's parents. Teng Huayuan's right hand reached out and Wang Hao's father floated into the air with his hand around his neck. His face immediately became red and he opened his mouth, revealing a suffering expression. Wang Hao's eyes were bloodshot as tears flowed out. He let out a roar and was about to run out when Wang Zhuo held him down. Wang Zhu whispered, "Wang Hao, don't be rash. That person is a nascent soul cultivator." Teng Huayuan sneered. His right hand closed. With a bang, Wang Hao's father's head turned into pulp. His body fell to the ground. Then his soul came out and was collected by the flag. "No!" Wang Hao's voice turned hoarse. He felt a pain in his chest as he coughed out blood. He looked at his father's body and muttered, Why? Teng Huayuan once again seized Wang Hao's mother, crushed her skull, and threw her before Wang Hao. Wang Hao's body shook as he coughed out more blood, and finally collapsed. He held his mother's body. Tears flowed down from his eyes as he shouted, "Why?" Teng Huayuan's expression darkened. He waved his hand, and under the shining purple light, all of the houses turned to dust. There were around 40 people on the ground. All of them were Wang family members. The women started to cry. They were all filled with fear. Aside from the people that were alive, there were only dead bodies without heads. Teng Huayuan smiled as he grabbed a person. This person was Wang Lin's father's R&D uncle. He was currently the most senior member of the Wang family. Surrounded by screams, his soul was taken by Teng Huayuan, and he died. Wang Hao stared at the scene dumbfoundedly. He didn't even notice that the hand Wang Zhuo was using to pin him down had already carved out blood marks on his body. Wang Zhuo didn't dare to look at his parents among the crowd. He lowered his bloodshot eyes. Wang Lin's uncle had lived in the wilderness for a long time, so he was much more brave than most people. He let out a wry smile and seemed to have thought things through. His wife died 1 year ago and his son had already been sent out to a martial arts sect, so he was gone already. he asked, in a loud voice. Immortal, what has my Wang family done to offend you? I know we mortals are like ants in your eyes, but even ants have the right to know what the cause of all this is. The fairy-like cultivator let out a surprised sound as he examined this man. Why? Teng Huayuan pointed a few times and several more people died. Blood sprayed everywhere from their messy, dismembered bodies. Someone from your Wang family dared to kill my great-great-grandson, so I decided to kill his entire family. With that, he struck the air with his right hand, and more than 10 people died. Wang Hao struggled free from Wang Zhuo, and was about to charge forward when Wang Zhuo pinned him down again. Wang Zhuo's face was filled with tears as he whispered, Wang Hao, no matter how it was before, we have to live. Only by living can we get revenge. Wang Lin's uncle bitterly smiled and said, Immortal, how could someone from my Wang family kill your great-great-grandson? In these past hundreds of years, my Wang family has only had 3 immortals. He suddenly stopped, as if he realized something. Among the surviving people, Wang Zhuo's father kneeled on the ground and said, Immortal, is the person who killed your great-great-grandson named Wang Lin? A cold light flashed across Teng Huayuan's eyes as he secretly thought, Wang Lin, so he's called Wang Lin. He looked at Wang Zhuo's father, reached out, and held Wang Zhuo's father before him. He looked Wang Zhuo's father in the eyes and said, word for word, tell me everything about this Wang Lin. Wang Zhuo's father quickly told Teng Huayuan everything about Wang Lin, including where his parents lived. He viciously thought in his mind, die, all of you, die. Even if this person wasn't killed by you, the Wang family is dead, so your parents should die as well. After Teng Huayuan finished listening, he let out a laugh. He then closed his hand. When he opened it, a ball of lightning appeared. He casually pushed it forward, and a circular wave spread out. Wang Zhuo's father was the closest one. When he touched the shock wave, his body shook and turned into dust along with his clothes. As the ripples spread out, everyone who touched it died and their souls were collected by the flag. When the ripple was about to hit Wang Lin's uncle, he had already closed his eyes, but a gentle white light covered his body and blocked the ripple of the ball of lightning. Teng Huayuan turned around and stared at the fairy-like cultivator. The cultivator sighed and said, Fellow cultivator Teng, leave this person alive. He is useful to me. Teng Huayuan sneered as he pointed at Wang Zhuo and Wang Hao and said, You want butt into the matter with those two then? The cultivator lightly smiled as he looked at Teng Huayuan and said, Fellow cultivator Teng, why are you asking such an obvious question? Of course I want to stop you, but if Senior Punanzi asks, I'll have to tell him the truth. Teng Huayuan looked at the fairy-like cultivator. After a long time, he stomped his feet and the entire Wang family estate turned into rubble. As for Wang Zhuo and them, he didn't even look at them as he flew toward Wang Lin's parents. Wang Zhuo's body trembled as he looked at the ruins. After pondering for a while, he kneeled on the ground and kowtowed. His forehead bled and his expression was extremely serious. Wang Hao clenched his teeth. He let out a miserable laugh and fell down. Wang Zhuo got up and picked up Wang Hao. He bowed toward the fairy-like cultivator and flew toward the Xuandao sect. All of his memories of the Wang family were swept away. The fairy-like cultivator sighed and thought, This is really a sin. I don't know if what I did was right or wrong, but this middle-aged man is really not normal. I'll save who I can. Thinking about that, he waved his sleeves and disappeared from the Wang family estate along with Wang Lin's uncle. Teng Huayuan almost immediately arrived at the small village Wang Lin's parent lived in. With him was a small flag with more than 100 faces of the Wang family. All of them wore very painful expressions. Waves of miserable screams came from the flag, causing waves of cold wind. After arriving at the village, he spread out his divine sense. He quickly found Wang Lin's house and rushed toward it. 15 minutes later, Teng Huayuan walked out of Wang Lin's house. His right hand hit the flag and it grew to a giant size as Teng Huayuan spat out some nascent blood. Bursts of scream came from the flag as ripples appeared on it. Slowly, the ripples disappeared, revealing an image. This image showed Wang Lin quickly moving through a jungle. Teng Huayuan smiled, and his right hand pointed at the image. As for Wang Lin, under the effect of this unexplainable feeling of horror, he led his 3 pursers toward the corpse sect's gathering location. The pain, unimaginable pain, indescribable pain. This kind of pain drowned Wang Lin like a flood. cultivators were very sensitive towards certain things. Wang Lin experienced a sense of panic he had never experienced before. His parents' faces appeared before him. Shortly after, Wang Lin saw a scene that he will remember for the rest of his life. No! 2 streams of blood flowed down from his eyes. His expression was painful. His body trembled, and slivers of yin spiritual energy moved violently in his body, completely out of his control. Every plant within a 10-meter radius of him froze. This freezing aura kept growing stronger. It was in this moment that the Ji inside Wang Lin endlessly climbed up, reaching the Ji realm. The last day of June, wishing for the like button for the VIDEO. A sweep of the like button for the VIDEO each month. The June ticket expires tonight at 12. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1045. Pseudo-Nirvana Void. There were countless flowers planted on the sides of the path. There were many different types of flowers and they looked very beautiful. However, they were filled with restrictions and one touch could activate them. They either attacked, trapped, or transported you to another place. If one didn't know any of this, they would find it hard to move an inch in the Celestial Emperor Cave. Even the celestial jades on this road were filled with restrictions. If one's feet didn't land in the proper order, depending on the direction they were walking, the restrictions would activate. However, none of these were too dangerous to Wang Lin. Although the map didn't contain the method to breaking them, it did have detailed explanations about them. If others obtained this information, it might not be useful. However, Wang Lin was a restriction grandmaster, so with this information, he would be able to find the solution at a glance. This saved a lot of work. However, with Wang Lin's personality, he didn't completely trust the map in the jade. Although he moved very quickly, he constantly checked if the information from the map was accurate. While he moved, he slapped his bag of holding and the iron sword he had just stolen from the phantom appeared in his hand. His divine sense spread out across the sword. Although it looked normal, Wang Lin's divine sense encountered a powerful resistance. It was as if there was power hidden inside that prevented any divine sense from penetrating it. In particular, the resistance from the rust marks was the strongest. After withdrawing his divine sense, Wang Lin pondered. What kind of sword is this? Staring at the rust marks, Wang Lin remembered the expression Tuosen's messenger had when he saw the same iron sword. He looked as if he had found a heavenly treasure, but what Tuosen's messenger was looking at was not the iron sword itself. He was looking at the rust marks on the sword. Wang Lin's gaze remained on the rust as lifted his left hand and gently wiped the rust marks. He raised his left hand and found some red rust stains on his hand. He placed it next to his nose and immediately smelled a faint fishy smell. It is only ordinary rust. Wang Lin frowned and lowered his left hand. However, just as his hand moved, there was a tearing sound and a crack appeared where his left hand passed. What shocked Wang Lin even more was that just as his left hand moved, the sea of flowers near him was suddenly covered in a red glow. Then all the flowers withered and the restrictions on them silently collapsed. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly as he stared at the sea of flowers that seemed to have turned to ruins. Then he looked at the rust on his left hand. After retreating a few steps, Wang Lin's left hand with rust on it pointed at another sea of flowers. That sea of flowers immediately withered and turned into useless soil. The rust on Wang Lin's finger disappeared. Wang Lin took a deep breath and stared at the rust on the iron sword. He was completely shocked. After pondering for a bit, he clenched his teeth, and the third eye between his eyebrows opened. When the third eye opened, red light came out from inside it and enveloped the iron sword. Source origin energy came out and landed on the rust marks. Under this gaze, Wang Lin immediately saw the iron sword gradually turn transparent, but the rust marks didn't change at all and remained normal. There was an invisible energy moving within the iron sword and cycling through it. The moment it came in contact with the source origin in Wang Lin's third eye, it charged out as if it wanted to devour the source origin. Wang Lin decisively cut off the spell and withdrew the source origin. The third eye closed as well. The invisible energy paused for a moment before slowly retreating back, and continuing to flow within the iron sword. Filled with confusion, Wang Lin was completely baffled. He let out a sigh and was about to put it away when a thought flashed through his mind. He looked at the iron sword, and after looking at its size, his expression became strange. He slapped his bag of holding, and 5 rays of golden light flew out. 5 sword sheaths appeared before Wang Lin. He had obtained them back in planet Suzaku, and their effectiveness was unknown. He only knew that if he stuck a flying sword into one of them, the sword's power would become more fierce. After taking out the 5 sword sheaths, Wang Lin's right hand reached out, and the iron sword went into one of the sword sheaths. The sword fit the sword sheath perfectly without an inch of extra space. However, after it entered the sword sheath, there was no change. Wang Lin took the iron sword out and tried it with the other sword sheath. When he stuck it into the 3rd sword sheath, the runes carved on the sword sheath emitted a harsh light. A terrifying aura came from the iron sword and sword sheath. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with joy as he grabbed the sword sheath, took a deep breath, and slowly pulled out the iron sword. The moment the iron sword was partially pulled out from the sword sheath, the terrifying aura became even stronger, as if some unimaginable power was sealed inside. If the iron sword was pulled out completely, a terrifying force would appear. Wang Lin felt a similar power from a treasure that belonged to someone else before. The owner of the treasure was dead. It was esteemed Xuan Bao. His magic treasure was the Pseudo-Nirvana Void Arrow. Pseudo-Nirvana Void. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. He didn't pull the sword out. Instead, he put it back in with a trace of excitement. Then he quickly moved forward. He moved like a ray of light and charged forward along the small path. In an instant, he arrived next to a pavilion. This pavilion wasn't big. It only had 2 floors. It looked very normal, but according to the map, this was the first restriction eye of the 1st floor. Only by opening all 8 eyes would one have a chance to step into the black fog. After carefully looking at the pavilion, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he noticed that the restrictions in the pavilion was already broken by someone else. From the look of this restriction, it wasn't broken long ago. Wang Lin became very cautious. It was obvious he wasn't the only one who understood the restrictions here. When the celestial burial pool collapsed, everyone was scattered. There must be people who broke the restriction earlier than me. I just don't know who it was. Wang Lin looked around. This 1st floor of the Celestial Emperor Cave was not big and could easily be covered by one's divine sense. However, unless they were crazy, no one would dare to spread out their divine sense in a place with so many restrictions. Even the Ulcer would have a lot of worries, and unless he was forced into a corner, he wouldn't do it. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin moved around the pavilion and stepped into the grass. His eyes flashed with lights of deduction. He didn't stop and continued to charge forward. The map had explanations of the restrictions on this grass. Wang Lin moved through the grass but didn't activate any of the restrictions. He crossed the grass in the blink of an eye. In the northeast corner of the 1st floor, the man in black with the hidden dragon mark was staring at the pavilion with a cold gaze. Before him, on the other side of the pavilion, stood another person. It was the beautiful middle-aged woman. She stared at the man in black through the pavilion, her expression extremely gloomy. "Fellow cultivator, this is a simple restriction. Why must you steal it from me?" The woman's voice was a little hoarse but very beautiful. She had been pushed into a restriction by the collapse of the celestial burial pool. Fortunately, the restriction wasn't very strong, so it didn't take long for her to break out. Then she saw the black fog, and after pondering a bit, she slowly moved forward. She didn't worry too much about the girl in pink she brought with her. With the treasure that the girl's senior sister had given her, she should be in no danger. However, there were too many restrictions in the Celestial Emperor Cave. Along the way, she faced many dangers and finally arrived here after an arduous journey. When she saw the pavilion, she immediately noticed that it was different. Just as she was about to take a closer look, the man in black appeared on the other side. "Since it is only an ordinary restriction, then fellow cultivators should just let me have it." There was a hint of sarcasm in the man's gaze. He took a step forward and was about to enter the pavilion. A flash of killing intent appeared in the beautiful woman's eyes, and she immediately charged forward, leaving behind an afterimage. The man in black sneered as his right hand formed a seal and he pressed his hand formed. A black fog appeared. It turned into a dragon and attempted to devour the beautiful woman. The woman reached toward her head and pulled out 3 strands of hair. She threw them forward and recited a strange chant. The 3 strands of hair turned into 3 black pythons with blood-red mouths that charged at the dragon-shaped black fog. They were both powerful cultivators, so when their spells collided, a storm was set off and muffled rumbles echoed. However, none of it spread too far. It all stayed within 1,000 feet. They both had the same idea. They couldn't make too much noise and catch the attention of everyone else here. This limited the volatility of the battle, and both of them wanted to end this battle as quickly as possible. Why don't you go to the palace surrounded by the black fog at the center instead of stealing from me here? The beautiful woman's hand formed a seal and 5 colored light appeared from her body. It turned into 5 swords that swept forward. The man in black waved his sleeves, and a flying sword shrouded in black gas appeared. It circled him once before it charged out and collided with the 5 swords, creating crisp collision sounds. Nonsense. Why don't you go there? Although this place is a pavilion, there is a transfer array inside. It should lead to a storage space. You know all of this, so why bother hiding it? The beautiful woman's expression was neutral, but there was a flash of coldness in her eyes. It was just as the man had said. When she arrived here, she noticed it, and that's how the current conflict occurred. As their treasures entangled with each other, the crisp sounds increased and began to spread. The beautiful woman's eyes lit up, and she quickly said, "Our strength is quite even. Others will notice us before we can finish this fight, so why don't both of us go into the transfer array and split the treasure in half?" The man in black looked at the beautiful woman and nodded. The 2 of them didn't waste any words as they both retrieved their treasures and stepped into the pavilion together. However, just as they stepped in, they both looked toward the same direction. There a person walking out from the pavilions. This person was Wang Lin. Wang Lin immediately saw the 2 people inside the pavilion. His eyes narrowed and he slowly stopped. After seeing Wang Lin, the man in black revealed a strange smile. It was the beautiful woman who had a strange expression. When her gaze swept past Wang Lin, she was shocked. His cultivation is even more strange. When I first saw him, although he had the power of a Nirvana cleanser cultivator, his cultivation only seemed to be at the early stage of Nirvana scryer. Then, later on, he was still only at the mid-stage of Nirvana scryer. However, now he has reached the peak of the Nirvana scryer stage. Is he hiding his cultivation, or did he have a breakthrough recently? Wang Lin carefully looked at the 2 of them. He had obviously seen through the secret of the pavilion. In fact, the map showed that there was a transfer array to a storage space inside that pavilion. Even without the map, Wang Lin could see the transfer array inside. The beautiful woman pondered for a bit while looking at Wang Lin. Then she slowly said, "Fellow cultivator Wang is here as well. How about the 3 of us go together and divide the treasures we get?" Just as Wang Lin was about to speak, the ground trembled and an angry roar came from the distance. He couldn't see anything when he looked into the distance. There were too many restrictions in the Celestial Emperor cave, and those restrictions formed great obstacles, as if there were countless worlds. Even when 2 people were close, if they were in 2 different restrictions, it would be difficult to find each other. From a glance, the cave looked very calm, but that was only on the surface. If all the restrictions here were broken, one would immediately find a bamboo forest in the distance. It was shrouded in a monstrous red mist, and the ferocious roar coming from within it was heaven-shaking. Wang Lin's expression immediately changed. Although the bamboo forest in the distance looked normal at a glance, he understood that the restrictions there had been broken. The humanoid phantom had broken through faster than he expected. Without replying to the beautiful woman's words, Wang Lin changed straight toward the palace shrouded by black fog. On the way here, he had checked and found that all the restriction eyes had been broken. It seemed someone was 1 step ahead and had already entered the 2nd floor. The reason he came to the pavilion was because it was the path with the least restrictions toward the palace at the center. The expression of the man in black changed when he saw Wang Lin run as if he was escaping for his life the moment the roar came. Without hesitation, he gave up on the transfer array inside the pavilion and chased after Wang Lin. Only the beautiful woman hesitated, but just as she hesitated, that angry roar came closer and closer as if it was approaching at a rapid speed. If you were able to see inside the world within each restriction and look from above, then you would clearly see the humanoid phantom charging toward Wang Lin. It triggered countless restrictions, and there were countless flashes of light as restrictions attacked it. Some restrictions even teleported it away. However, it didn't take more than few breaths of time before it broke the restrictions and charged out. It seemed to be learning the restrictions, and it broke them faster and faster. In the end, it was charging ahead in a straight line. In dreams, Leo sees his video standing in third place on the popular charts. Hoping to garner more fan support, and looking for help from you all to climb even higher in the rankings this month. Chapter 1046, Master Void's Killing Intent. Wang Lin moved forward like a meteor, and along the way he passed countless restrictions. He moved toward the black fog at the center according to the map. The man in black wasn't any slower than Wang Lin. He stared at Wang Lin's feet and moved in the exact same path, closely behind Wang Lin. Behind them was the beautiful woman. She was a powerful cultivator, so she soon made a choice. Seeing Wang Lin and the man in black leaving in such haste, she clenched her teeth and quickly followed. However, although the beautiful woman understood restrictions, she wasn't as good as Wang Lin. Adding the fact that she was lagging behind, she was soon blocked by some restrictions. The angry roar from the distance came closer and closer. There were also popping sounds that were obviously from restrictions being broken. Wang Lin moved even faster and jumped into the air before a pavilion. Flashes of restriction came from the pavilion, and the light filled the area as if it wanted to stop Wang Lin from advancing. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as his body took 7 steps to the right at an unimaginable angle. After these 7 steps, his body had already sunk into the restrictions in the pavilion, and then he penetrated through them in a flash. Behind him, the man in black followed closely. The man in black stepped exactly as Wang Lin did, and unexpectedly got through the restrictions as well. As for the beautiful woman, when she broke through the restrictions and got here, she could only helplessly look at Wang Lin and the man in black move far away. She could not break the restrictions before in a short period of time. Just at this moment, the angry roar echoed violently behind her and entered her ears. At the same time, the restrictions behind her trembled and all collapsed as a red shadow rushed out. The beautiful woman sucked in a breath of cold air. She had never seen this human figure before, but she felt a powerful sense of crisis shroud her body. That human figure's cold gaze was filled with anger. It let out a roar and charged straight at the beautiful woman. It lifted its right hand and was about to claw at her. However, just at this moment, a roar echoed. "You damn beast, you dare!" As the roar came, a ripple appeared before the beautiful woman and spread out. The beautiful woman was pushed back, and the human figure was also knocked back by the impact. A blue figure came from the distance. He looked old, but his eyes shined brightly. It was Master Void. Master Void was also shocked greatly. He had long since broken out from the restriction he was sent into from the collapse of the celestial burial pool. He had circled around the first floor for a long time and had quite a good harvest. However, when that angry roar echoed, his mind trembled. He quickly followed the roar and saw the beautiful woman in danger. He was related to the power the beautiful woman belonged to, so he couldn't just stand by and not help. After using a spell to knock the human figure away, he took the beautiful woman and charged into the restrictions in the pavilion with his powerful cultivation. The restrictions flashed violently above the pavilion, but as Master Void crashed through, they immediately collapsed. Master Void took the beautiful woman and charged ahead. The human figure looked at Master Void, then it let out a roar and chased after him. Along the way, Wang Lin quickly rushed through several restrictions without touching any of them. Soon, he closed in on the black fog in the center of the floor. This black fog was very strange. It was filled with devilish energy. However, with the roar closing in behind him, Wang Lin didn't have time to think before he stepped into the black fog. The man in black's pupils shrank, but he also entered without hesitation after Wang Lin. The man in black followed Wang Lin while maintaining a certain distance and slowly said, "The devilish energy here is strong. It is best for fellow cultivator Wang to be careful. Also, can fellow cultivator Wang give me an explanation on the thing chasing us?" "That is a beast from the celestial burial pool," Wang Lin said one line as he moved like lightning within the black fog toward the palace. This palace was very large, far larger than any of the pavilions. Looking at it from the outside, it was filled pressure, and the dark fog gave off an eerie feeling. It was like a fierce beast coldly staring at the small cultivator at its feet. When standing inside the hall, if one looked up, they would see just how large the palace was. There was a gap in the gate to the palace. Although the gap was small, it was enough for 10 people to go in at once. Wang Lin moved like lightning. When he got close, he directly entered the door and stepped into the palace on the first floor of the Celestial Emperor Cave. The moment Wang Lin entered the palace, he was startled for a moment. There were two huge statues inside the hall. Both were forming a seal and seemed to be pointing at the void with glaring eyes. The statues gave off a powerful pressure, as if the heavens might fill the hall. This sight would shock the mind of anyone who saw it. Staring at the statues, Wang Lin took a deep breath and quickly recovered. He had a similar experience with the Flower Imperial Concubine, so although he was shocked, it wasn't too much. Wang Lin's gaze quickly swept the hall, but he didn't find the entrance to the second floor. At this moment, the man in black also entered. When he saw the two large statues, he was startled, and the black dragon mark between his eyebrows instantly appeared. Wang Lin's pupils suddenly shrank as he stared at the dragon mark between the man in black's eyebrows. However, he quickly withdrew his gaze and didn't reveal anything in his expression. The man in black recovered in an instant. The moment he recovered, his expression became gloomy and he looked at Wang Lin. When he saw that Wang Lin wasn't looking toward him, he couldn't help but frown. He knew that his secret had appeared for an instant. He just wasn't sure if Wang Lin had noticed it. Just at this moment, a rumbling sound came from the hall. It was obvious the restrictions were being forced open by someone. Master Void brought the beautiful woman and entered the hall. The moment he entered, even he was startled by the two statues, but quickly he recovered. Unless you were carefully observing, it would be impossible to see that pause from Master Void. As for the beautiful woman next to him, confusion filled her eyes. However, with the help of Master Void, she quickly returned to normal. As soon as Master Void saw Wang Lin, killing intent filled his eyes. Just as he was about to step forward, the roar from outside the hall got closer. The beautiful woman's face was a bit pale. When she saw Wang Lin, she quickly said, "Wang Lin, what did you do to cause that human-shaped thing to pursue you all the way here?" After experiencing the danger from before, the beautiful woman broke down all pretense with Wang Lin. She no longer called him fellow cultivator, and instead directly called his name. Wang Lin had already searched